So uncivilized.
Greetings and welcome to 1/6 Scale Man proudly presents Uncivilized Scoundrels. It's Slayo Rockwell coming to you live with a great, incredible panel with an incredible topic tonight. Come on, you already know what time it is. Book of Boba Fett, episode 5, aired yesterday, and we gave it some time. We gave it, time to marinate. I didn't want to actually just break out the guns yesterday and talk about the episode. And tonight, it is basically spoiler talk. We gave y'all time. Fair warning, we gave y'all time to watch it. So if you are here tonight, you are here for the spoilers, and we're going to dive into it. But I can't get into this without the panel, man. Without the incredible panel of individuals that, just grace the screen. I got an incredible panel of not Padawans, but Jedi Masters in the building. Come on, man. How is everyone doing tonight?
Fantastic.
Great.
And
What
this
a
is
week.
the
So
only
good.
platform in which I associate with Rebel Scum, just so we're clear.
Yeah, listen, CC, listen. We are happy, number one. Everybody out in the chat, hashtag welcome back CC. Hashtag welcome back CC. We are so happy that you have made it through. You are feeling so much better. I literally, so many people were talking about the episode before last and how the ladies held it down. Y'all literally held it down. Like, they were just so enticed by the conversation, just the camaraderie, and it was like y'all just told me, Leo, sit back, hold our beer, and let us talk. And it was like, yo, I'm back. I'm gonna let y'all go, but y'all held it down so nicely.
Dare I say we pulled a Bryce Dallas Howard?
Yes, you did.
Absolutely.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You held it down. You definitely held it down. So yeah, so excited. I think Mario's having some technical difficulties. He just basically hit me up. Did he say PC is bugging out? I'm troubleshooting. So he'll be here in a few minutes. Fashionably late, but you know what? Better late than never. Mario's cold. He always comes through. But so CC, we're so happy to have you here and so happy to discuss this tonight. I got my brother, my man, Aries is in the building. We got 6 Scale Cantina in the building. Come on, man. Who else? Who else? What better person to have on this show to talk about Star Wars and bring the spice? But Aries, how's it doing? How you doing, man?
No, what a week, everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
I am just wow. And to wake up like I did yesterday morning was just amazing. And then I spilled my coffee again when I watched this episode we're going to talk about. Because is it possible that it completely threw, it was like a curveball.
Yeah.
It was completely not what I was expecting, but
Yeah.
it's such an honor to be here.
Yeah, man. So happy. I'm so glad to have you here, brother. Vinny, the man with the room, the man, the myth, the legend, and jacket. Love that jacket. And we're gonna segue into you first, right here. Because after we talk to you, we got a surprise to show everybody real quick. Vinny was in his lab cooking up some marvelous treats. So Vinny, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm phenomenal. Let's see, Tuesday, my sleep schedule's all messed up because of wintertime. But Tuesday I was just up late, and I was like, screw it, I'll just stay up late and then just watch, a new book of Boba Fett episode and go to bed. And instead of going to bed at 4 when it was over, I was up to like 6, just buzzing, just hype, and I couldn't wait to wake up and just watch it again. I was, I mean.
Right.
You know how much it takes for me to be speechless?
Yeah, right.
Just phenomenal. Just bravo. I can't wait to get into it. It's so much to get into. It's several suitcases to unpack on this one.
Yeah, several real quick. And speaking of several suitcases to unpack real quick before we get to I want to show some people like just some incredible work that Vinny does. Like, this is what he does. This is a lifestyle for him. It's not just a hobby, it's a lifestyle, way of life. And he has has a tendency to bring us some great work. Look at this right here. I mean, look at this is watercolor. Tell them what you've done here, bro. Tell them what you've done.
With this new season, I was trying to knock out some quick Book of Boba Fett sketches, and the first character that made me like, you know what, I have to, dust off the brushes and the color pencils and get at it was Tusken Warrior. She really inspired me to do some pieces for the show, and I had a couple. I had a Boba Fett and a Slave One piece that I already had done, but I wanted to do some new ones for the show, so I had to do her. So this one is the first new one I did for the show. Of course, the Tusken Warrior, who all of us were instantly immediately fans of, and so I had to do a piece for that training sequence. Was just phenomenal. It was hilarious trying to get a reference pic for it too, because she moved so fast you could barely pause it to get a picture from it.
Yeah.
And then I did one for African American Chrysanthemum. So so I had to do one for Chrysanthemum too, and had fun, doing the fur and the hair on his mane there. So he was that was a fun one to do. So I'm working on a new one that I'll have for everybody next week, and I'm planning to do at least a couple more for the show. One I have next week, and then hopefully one after. So I'm definitely trying to get some small sketches out for the show, because watching this, I'm sitting there and the art side of my brain is just so inspired by all the
just turned on.
It's just as I'm watching it, I'm just going, I want to draw that. I want to draw that. I need to draw that character. I need to draw that character. So one of the beautiful things about Star Wars is it inspires artists, inspires writers, inspires everybody in all different ways. And one of the ways it inspires me is art.
Yeah, definitely.
And then
you got the salt and pepper beard there. You see that, Aries? He gave him up. He gave him salt and pepper.
Yeah, right.
And then there's an older, befitting Mando piece. This one is like an homage mashup. When I first seen Mandalorian, it reminded me a lot of Lone Wolf and Cub, or as it's better known in America, Shogun Assassin. And the Criterion edition of this DVD has a cover that's virtually similar to this image. And I just flipped out the characters in that film for the characters in this show. So this was a piece I did for Mandalorian last season. So definitely, definitely happy to, get in the lab and do some pieces for the show and draw about it as much as I am to talk about it. So the show's been incredible and inspiring, obviously. So
definitely, man.
Appreciate it.
Amazing work, Vinny.
Thank you, man.
Amazing work. And you can find this on Vincent Dunn Art. Come on, man. He does some amazing work all day, every day. So when he sent it to me, he's like, brother, do you mind? I was like, yes. What you mean, do I mind? You already know I'm going to put this on here. Come on, man. All day. Let's go. How are you? Now, we just got off the stream you blessed the stream last night, which was incredible. We talked about figures. We talked about releases. We had like a flex preview of what Flex Friday is going to eventually look like. So it was incredible. How are you? Did you sleep at all? Or did you get off the show and watch the Book of Boba again?
Yeah, I mean it is the Mandalorian for me. I did watch it. I've watched it about 2 more times since we last spoke, and every fiber in my being wants to talk about this episode because, as far as I'm concerned, Din brought sexy back to the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, he did. Like it is. I can't explain how this episode just took off. Like it just took off, and it was like, it was an overdrive, like straight up hyperdrive beyond hyperdrive. You know what I mean? Like, and I loved it. But yeah, we're gonna definitely dive in. We have Mario here, but he's still technical difficulty. He's gonna jump back in. We'll have him here in a minute. Let's address the chat before we dive in. We have Will C in the building. We have Malachi McBain, Doc Smizzle. We have the collector number 1. Daniel Welfare is here. Latoya T, baby, thank you for coming through. Philip the Fool, Tobar. We have, let's see here, Cold Pizza. Every time I say that name, you make me hungry, brother. You make me hungry. We got a Russian bot, as always. We got to have one of those. We have Bob Dylan, my guy, Bob Dylan, who says, welcome back, CC. I'm telling you, CC gets all the love. Even my lady said, welcome back, CC. She enjoyed you very much. Come on, CC. You just make everybody's life so good when you're back here on the
The
channel,
toy
man.
is so sweet. I feel like every time she makes a comment about me, I get a cavity.
Gotta have that
So much
insulin
love
ready.
there.
Yo, we got Luminar in the building. Spice Runner is in the building. Philosopher King. We have Tim McPherson here. OG fan when Star Wars was just Star Wars. We know that name, don't we, Aries?
Yeah.
Like he comes through. He comes through. Love that guy. Who else we got? And we got a $5 super chat by Malachi Mabane. May the force be with you all. Man, guy, you know what? The force is always with you when you're here, brother.
Yeah,
so
with
you're
you,
always
Malachi.
with us. Straight up. Jake is here. Joey Dahl is in the building. We got Toy Box. S Beam is here. So good to have you, man. Who else we got in here? Just want to make sure I didn't forget everybody. Daniel Welf already said that. Leon Walker is here. Xander is in the building. Kathri is in the building. And thank you for coming through, man. Yes. I mean, shall we? And Avengers Assemble, sorry. Thank you for coming through. Nathan Henderson, yes. So shall we dive in to this episode? So I mean, look. So we get the opening credit scenes. And wait a minute. Is he here? Is he here?
Hello?
Is he
Check,
here?
check, check.
Is
Can
he
y'all-
here?
Can y'all hear me?
Is he here?
Yes, we can hear
Yes,
you.
he's here.
All right, cool.
Yes, he's here. And need I say, I don't have to say anything else. May the force be with that beard. My guy, Mario's in the building. What is going on with you, brother? So happy to have you here tonight, man.
Nah, cool, man. Thanks, man. No, sorry for being late. I'm just having problems with this PC for some reason. So
I get it,
Right
bro.
on
You
top.
just you so smooth. You just have to make sure that your entry is felt. So we get that
Man,
because it has
I
been.
know,
Because look
yo.
at this. Listen to this. El Professor. Oh! See that, bro?
What's
Come on,
good,
man.
Rance?
Yeah,
What's
I
going
know,
on,
man. So definitely. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, we're gonna dive, man. Opening credits came through. We get that opening sequence in the meat shack. And then who do we see basically walk through the gates? My God, our guy. Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. Okay, so we knew we were going to see him in some capacity. We knew it, and we knew he was going to be in the show. But them hitting us, it was just like the first time, the episode where we basically saw, on the episode of The Jedi on Mandalorian, when we got Ahsoka, when she basically hit, boom, right there in the very beginning. Yep. This is what they actually gave us with Mando. And it's like, yo, he got the smoothest walk I ever seen. Like, he literally, in that armor, he got the smoothest swag. Cece, when you see him, did you expect him to get or come through that way first, or what you think?
I expected him. I didn't expect him so soon, and also the way we got him, like that, the space station. Like, besides him as a character, obviously it was great to see him, but that whole space station, like that whole cover opening was fantastic. And then so we see him. I'm so excited to see him. It's like I told Matt, it was like when you're at a boring party and your best friend walks in and you're like, oh, this shit just started. Yes. And it's just that like sigh of relief to see him again. It's like I didn't realize how much I missed him as a character. Mm-hmm. And then he starts cutting people in half with the Darksaber.
Yeah.
I was all about it. I wasn't expecting it. It's like, wow, he went back to his old ways as soon as he dropped Grogu off at the babysitter. And I'm kind of all about it. That scene honestly reminded me of, dare I say, how I felt about the Darth Vader scene, the hallway scene in Rogue One. I feel like that was Mando's version of the hallway scene in Rogue One. Yeah. I loved every second of it. I thought it was great. And the fact that the bit with the Darksaber, that he hurt himself, and then we learned why, and that it's not, it's not for the faint of heart. I thought that was all fantastic.
Yeah. Definitely. And it's just so much to pull out of this first scene, man. Ladies first as always. Yeah. Excited? Were you? Because the thing is, we already know that you get giddy. You get super giddy when you see Mando on screen.
Oh, I have to tell you, this was as good as the first time. Okay, like that's how this felt, because we've been feeling so conflicted from episodes 1 to 4. So to get this was kind of like a very strong, firm push in the direction we've all wanted. He came in looking all hardcore. The guys, Brendan Wayne, Lateef Crowder, and Barry Lowen, who are the actors who are in, who additionally do the body doubles for this character, just came in looking smooth, and it just felt so good to see him march in. But I had no idea that we were going to get so much from this episode. It feels like it was packed with so many goodies, and that hardcore kill in the beginning was so badass. I was just like, yeah, it's about time, man. And sexy is back. This is what we wanted. We wanted to see hardcore, we wanted to see badass, and he did it so smoothly.
Oh my God. I mean, and the struggle, and I loved the struggle with the dartsaber. I loved the struggle with that, and it was so, it meant so much to see that it was so imperfect that he had to struggle to use it. Aries, how much coffee did you spill on your lap when you saw this episode? Like, how much did you just? I mean, I know I could just imagine you and the coffee just spills everywhere, bro. Like, how did you feel about it, bro?
My heart was going just a little bit quick when I was watching this episode, and I knew. I kind of figured out that before this Book of Boba Fett series came on, that the Mandalorian was going to show up in here at some point. Of course, last week they teased the music, so it's like, okay, it's happening. But I kind of knew it was happening. What I didn't expect with this opening scene and what ensued was absolutely unbelievable, because first of all, the dichotomy between Mando and Boba Fett is crazy. And you have to wonder, are they purposefully doing that? Because personally, I'm digging Boba Fett and what they're doing with him. He's reminding me of like a Batman in a way, an older Batman. He's got injuries, he's got this, he's got that, he's kind of put together, he's mended together. I can relate with that. Superman is my all-time favorite comic book hero, but I really can't relate to it because I'm far from Superman. I feel like I can relate a little bit to Batman, and I feel like I can relate a little bit to Boba Fett as I'm watching this. But seeing, as Armin and Cece were saying, that the swagger of the way Mando is walking, the difference between him and Boba Fett, I'm so glad to see that Favreau and Filoni, they're giving these characters. It's not just another Mandalorian. It's a difference. It's a different character. But man, I didn't think that they would go into a Mandalorian episode, which is really what they did with this from the beginning. So it completely blew me away. And I think that this is, for me, what it showed me is something that I was hoping they were going to do, explore like an Arrowverse. I'm calling this, for me, the Mandoverse. Since I feel like he's the guy. And clearly, when he showed up yesterday, he showed me that he's the guy. But I know there's so much to talk with. But just from this opening scene and where it went, my heart rate's going up, and I'm like, I can't believe you guys are doing this.
Right.
I just couldn't believe it.
That's it. My baby Latoya T, she actually comes through and says, struggle with the sword was raw vulnerability. I loved it. I love that they weave so much vulnerability with his sexiness. I mean, strength, the balance. Yeah, you mean strength. The balance in his character is so next level. Nah, I mean, like, the swag was real. Like, literally, when he walked through, his swag, it reminded me like how Vinny walks through his bedroom, you know what I mean, the secret vault. Vinny, like, Vinny, what you see? What you think when you saw this? I mean, number one, I already know what you thought and what you felt. I could feel you from like a mile away. But what was your imprint on this, man?
You hear me yelling, from my crib. Shit. When he walked through into that room, it was just like, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Hove.
Right.
It was just like, he walked in, did his thing, sliced the dice, chopped everybody up, fucked everybody up. Still, it took a little bit of damage, but it was kind of like, thank you. That's what we've been hoping for the show. And I agree with Aries. The Book of Boba Fett is not as negative of reaction for me as a lot of the internet has been giving it, but as a character on a whole, that this is kind of the epitome of what we all felt like going into Boba Fett we would have been seeing. And I feel like it's almost like when they did Mandalorian, they, instead of doing Boba Fett, they did Mandalorian and gave him a lot of those attributes. So throughout the course, I'm just going to control myself and stick to this opening scene here. But it encompasses what Boba Fett is all about right here. The mask is on, the helmet's on, doesn't say much, and is man of, few words, all action, mysterious. And it is awesome that they've been exploring more of Boba Fett, but it also takes away what makes him so appealing in the first place. And with The Mandalorian on the whole, for those first 2 seasons, they managed to have character growth, action, mystery, all those things with an amazing balance. We haven't quite seen that balance from the Boba Fett character. And this episode is like very odd because as amazing as it was, it just shone such a bright light on the difficulties that this show is having doing what Mandalorian seemingly, I mean,
it was effortless.
It's like they are so in tune with what they want to do with Mandalorian, and it feels like they're just kind of throwing ideas out a little bit with Book of Boba Fett. This episode was practically flawless, and it felt like they could do a million of these. It didn't even seem like, it seemed like light work. It didn't seem like it struggled to tell its story. It seemed like this was just almost a reminder that if you're having kind of like doubts about where Book of Boba Fett is going, well, don't worry, at least we got Mando covered. I wonder if that's because they have an easier time handling characters that are new in theirs as opposed to OG characters that we already have our mind made up about what they should be.
Yeah, true. Mario, I felt the beard tingle, bro. I felt the beard tingle. I know you felt it like I did, bro, when for this episode. And the thing is, it's like, yo, I needed this episode to be good, not just for me, but for you, because I needed us to have a good discussion. I really needed us to have. I was like, I needed Mario to feel a certain way about an episode, and we needed. And then when you were like, yeah, we got a lot to unpack, I was like, okay, good. Then that means he liked it, because I was scared as hell yesterday when I turned that episode on. I was like, please be good. Please, for the sake of God, just please be good. So Mario, we can have this discussion, man. But when it came on, I was like, yeah, I know he's going to feel this one. But how'd you feel about it, brother? You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, y'all. Mic discipline. No, it was incredible to see Din Djarin back again. It's just, I still have a gripe with the fact that, hey, it's basically an episode of The Mandalorian season 2.5 in a sense, but I understand that it has to be set up, so I guess we actually get a backstory as to where he's coming from and how he shows up to Boba's aid. But at the beginning, coming in, seeing him in that meat locker, seeing him in full hunter mode again, it was great. It was because, I mean, at the end of the second season, it's like, okay, what's going to happen next? And now we find out what's going on. And to see him again packing that Darksaber and just start swinging on fools, I mean, that was fantastic. It was fun to see. Yeah. But at the same time, it was also great, as everyone mentioned earlier, is that his inability to actually use it or knows how to use it, right? Yeah. So, and then we see how he ends up injuring himself trying to use the damn thing as well. So the opener was a banger, and I was all in. I loved it.
It's almost like what a normal person would be like if they actually had a lightsaber. We don't fuck ourselves up, right?
No
right?
Shit. Exactly. Now, if there were any questions, and the thing is, it's like, look, it was. Come on, man. It's like, yo, it's like he walked out, head in the bag, It's like, I don't want the problems. There's some credits back there. Y'all can
And
take those.
How crazy was that we seen from a Disney show, severed limbs, bodies getting chopped in half.
Yep.
Like, wow. I didn't think we'd see anything like that,
head in a
coming
bag.
from,
Yep.
the mouse allowed it. That was, that was good
Yeah,
to see.
the mouse did allow it, and it was just like, yo, like I don't want no problems, and everybody's looking at him like, it's like they were looking at each other like, okay, y'all gonna go first? Who's gonna go first? I'm just gonna go, and you know what I mean? It was, bro. The intro was incredible. Now, any questions that anybody might have actually had, since I would actually say season 1 of The Mandalorian. We wanted to know basically after that season, was Din Djarin the last of his kin? Was he the last of that? So was he the last of that? That small circle of Mandalorians that we knew that occupied the area, and we had no idea like what happened to certain characters. You know what I mean? Like, what happened to Visla? What happened to the armor? What happened to everybody else that was, that we loved? And they promised, they actually fulfilled those, inquiries and questions because we got a chance to see them. Like, we see them. He basically finds, like, we know now that part of the reason why he took up that bounty was not only just to get the credits, but also to find out where his, where's any remnants of kin. And we see it. Like, basically, when we see him walking down that platform, and I saw that, I saw a hint of it. I'm looking at the armor. I was like, wait a minute, is that gold armor? No. I was like, no, don't play with me. Don't play with me. And then they panned around, and we see the armor. Yep. And then she says, 10 to him. And then we see Vince. I'm like, what? Okay. We are going in. We are really, really going in. Cece, were you as excited as I was when you saw the armor?
Yes, of course. But I think what was interesting, too, is that, we know a high price was paid for what happened with Navarro.
Yeah.
They're the 3 that are left. At any time I know some people, I think, have said that the kind of like almost religious aspects to the armor is, I don't know if it's like necessary. I think it's very interesting because it causes conflict. So in the introduction to the armor, the Beskar spear, which I never expected that she would take issue with, that this is Beskar is used for armor, not weapons.
Yeah.
I would have lost that bet because I think we also found out, was it this episode or did I already know that the dark sabers made it of Beskar?
Yeah.
It's almost like that was the ultimate weapon that they chose to make out of Beskar. Everything else after this is kind of offensive. Like you need to use it for armor, not for weapons. I thought that was fascinating. And then the conflict, I saw it a mile away. The conflict between Heavy Mando and Din Djarin with the dark saber.
Yeah,
and it kind of
that's his. I mean, that's part of his family heritage right there. You know what I mean?
And I think it. It does make me question if we're going to see more of that, kind of like how we saw when he first got off that Beskar, where he kind of became a walking target because Beskar's expensive and he's dripping in Beskar. Now with the Darksaber, if he's always going to have like when he does find more Mandalorians to kind of like, create this, this creed, I guess, this coven, I think is the word that she was using. If he's always going to have conflict. So like he's trying to bring more people to the coven, but are they always going to challenge him because of the Darksaber? I think that's going to be interesting.
And it was interesting because I'm like saying the entire time while I'm watching it, I'm like, Bo-Katana's letting this happen? Like she's just not following close behind or nowhere near him? Like, what the hell? I mean, I don't know, but I get, like, again, this was just the sequence before we actually get a chance to see what happened really in season 3 of the Mandalorian.
And I really appreciated. Yeah. Sorry, one second. I just real quick, I wanted to mention what she said about Bo-Katan.
Yeah,
that cleared up a lot of issues people had with the fact that she wasn't willing to fight Mando for the Darksaber again, but she was handed it to Sabine by Sabine. I'm sorry, Sabine. So I think it kind of, she's now that cautionary tale of she wasn't taken seriously because people knew that she was gifted the Darksaber by Sabine and that she hadn't won it in combat. But
and that explanation was it was explained so well, like really, really so well. I'm glad they answered that from the very, very beginning. And how she said some have to win. Basically it has to be won in combat. Not gifted. You know what I mean? So it's like she was throwing some shade. She made sure she threw some shade, and basically you can tell that there's friction between Bo-Katan and the Mandalorian, but that's to come. Or Bo-Katan and the armor. Sorry. What did you think when you actually saw this gathering? When we got a close up and finally got a chance to see Vizsla in the armor.
Well, one thing that kind of keeps surprising me about Din is just how ignorant he is compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
And, obviously Vizsla knows so much more than him. The armorer knows so much more than him. She knows how to use that Darksaber.
Yes.
Probably because she's used it before. There's so many secrets in this that are yet to be revealed about these two characters. Now, we already know Vizsla and his family and his clan and how important that was. And it was kind of like, I thought it was kind of very punk for him to do what he did, but I liked it. I liked that he was like, I'm going to challenge you. And it was like the armor, if Din said, no, I don't want to challenge him, like that would have been ridiculous. It's in his blood to do this challenge. So they have to fight over this. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that the heavy armor could have possibly killed him, but it didn't work out that way. Din won. And even though he won, he still ends up getting the short end of the stick. As she's trying to train him, she's saying he's fighting, against the sword.
Saber,
and the saber's supposed to react to the person who's using it. So there is some sort of conflict. We don't really know what this conflict is. It could be that he knows she's going to ask him about taking off that helmet. Now, I have to wonder whether she's putting him on this impossible, wild goose chase of it. Let's go ahead and find the mine somewhere on Mandalore where it doesn't exist. And I'm like, why? Why would she tell him that? Why wouldn't she just say, okay, you've got to, do this special task and you're done? But to ask him to do this, which felt kind of impossible, I almost had to wonder whether she didn't want him to come back to the clan at that point. But she gracefully took the spear. And I thought, what if she keeps the Darksaber? But she can't because of all the stories and explanation. She can't keep it. But did she want to keep that Darksaber?
That's a good question. That is definitely a good question because she was so quick to melt down that Beskar staff, which the thing is like the biggest question on everybody's mind right now, like literally, is that he melted it down. He said it's a gift to Grogu, and we saw like it looked like little chain. I don't know.
Chainmail or something.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what that really is because I was like, well, could he have melted it down like as just material used to build, so Grogu can build his own hilt? I don't know. I mean, it's just basically a question that's out there. Aries, what did you, seeing this, what did you surmise about, just that chemistry between, I was just so glad to actually see them, and now they're in that rebuilding stage. That's what I was happy to see.
I almost lost my crap when I saw that this freaking heavy infantry Mandalorian and the armor in this episode. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I was like looking at this screen like, my eyes are starting to pop out. I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me that this is going on. So I was just like, man, look, I am so happy with what Favreau and Filoni are doing. And look, Make no mistake about it. But before they even finished casting for the book of Boba Fett, they absolutely had this planned. They know exactly where they wanted to go with this whole show, and to see them in here, it makes me wonder what are we going to see in next week's episode.
Yeah,
is it possible that they release the Casca figure and axe this time because we may see Katie Sackhoff, we may see Sasha Banks next week or the week. I don't know. There's a lot going on, but I was just so like I was just like so like jaw dropped watching this, and then that freaking fight scene, and I agree with RO. I think that the heavy infantry Mandalorian could have possibly killed him. I do want to point out, for me, I feel like, I'm sure a lot of you, probably all of you, have seen Roadhouse, and I feel like Boba Fett is like Sam Elliott. He's older. He's just older.
Yeah.
He's kind of like me.
Good analogy.
Mando's a young
Good analogy. Yeah.
And for me, and I actually trained MMA fighters, and I could fight back in the day, and I know more than them. And Boba Fett knows more, and that's another good point. He's kind of green, the Mandalorian. What Boba Fett has is a little bit. He got some training, and he's got some. I think people have to remember he's an old dog. Mm-hmm. He's an old dog. He's not. He's kind of like a retired James Bond. It's kind of like if they put Pierce Brosnan back, as James Bond. So that's how I look at that. But and for me, I'm looking at it that way, and I feel like that they're doing a good job. I think that there was. I don't know, some expectations about what Boba Fett was, like almost like he's like Luke and Darth Vader. I've mentioned this on my show. And he's kind of not. Remember in Return of the Jedi, he kind of got taken out.
Yeah.
Rather quickly. But anyway, this, I'm like, I can't believe that these characters are in there. It's going to be real interesting to me. Exactly who advises Din Djarin, which side he goes with this on, because I'm very, very intrigued. And I know you're going to get to this later in the show, but I think we all know where he's going to go visit his little friend. But is it possible he can get some insight from Luke, especially with that Darksaber, because it's been roaming around in my mind. Anyway.
And are they going to reissue the Heavy Mandalorian and K2SO?
Well,
possible?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they are.
And I say yes.
Yeah, they are.
But here's the interesting thing. Are they going to reissue the heavy infantry Mandalorian? Is there anything different here? And I have to watch it again and again.
Yeah.
Is there anything different? Because maybe it'll come out with a subtle difference. And
he
it'll
had
have
that hollow shield that was on his gauntlet.
There you go. So it could be a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And probably in a box that says what? Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's still. I think there's no question it's going to be a reissue. I mean, I already know that. And whoever didn't get K2SO, don't fret. Don't fret. It's going to basically happen. So Mario, what I mean, somebody mentioned it earlier. Let me actually go find this because it was interesting that they said it. I have to echo this, is that how great the acting was. Like Tobar said, like he said, notice how great the chemistry was between them and how great the acting was in this episode. Like everything just flowed. It wasn't choppy. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It again, it was like we were basically watching the Mandalorian, like, you know what I mean, episode of, like you said, 3.0 or 3.2 or whatever,
2.5,
2.5. You want to actually say it was, I don't know, but I just loved it so much more, and it just, I think basically I hate because I loved it so much that I'm like, I shouldn't feel this way about this episode because, we know we have 2 more episodes left. I shouldn't be as excited as I am about this episode, knowing how far we've come to get to this particular point. You know what I mean? To get to this episode. Am I overly excited, or I don't know? Like, how did you feel about it, bro?
Yeah, no, first off, I thought, as Tobar said, the acting was great. The 3 of these actors have excellent chemistry, and it shows on screen. I mean, they did wonderfully. I mean, everything was just flowed well and is 100% smooth. I'm not going to tell you as far as like where you should place your excitement because it's I think considering the fact that it's only a 7-episode season. Yeah, I mean they're pretty much getting everybody hyped up around this time, in this particular time frame where they should be. But I mean, it's definitely. I wish we could have received something to this magnitude, consistently throughout the entire season. That would absolutely make this entire series not so lackluster, but still have everybody on the same page as far as the excitement of where the show is actually going.
Yeah.
What was great about this scene here is that there was so much backstory that was going on. We got to see, with the armor explaining how about Bo-Katan and how she received the Darksaber and how it was actually, gifted. And when it's gifted and not won, how it can actually be a curse upon the nation. And that's what happened. Moff Gideon came in, took it from her. And then we actually saw a Night of 1,000 Tears. So that was pretty cool to see as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was so much that just went on in the scene, so much backstory, and just so much story setup in general. And I think we're gonna talk about the duel possibly in a minute,
Yeah.
And it was absolutely fantastic. I loved every minute of it. I was eating it up.
Yeah. Vinny, again, such a great episode, but such a great scene. And Mario said, we got a lot of information that we needed from this episode. What was your feeling, man?
Well, first of all, it was awesome to see that the armor was still alive. If nothing else, he acts as an amazing guide for the Mandalorian lore, that we get so much information in just a short amount of time from her. And like you guys have said, sometimes Mando does seem ignorant, if only for the viewer's benefit. So sometimes her having to explain stuff to him is really for us. So that's always helpful. And then I loved and was frustrated at the same time by like he literally finally finds them, just gets there, and he's getting challenged for the Darksaber like it's the #1 headband in Afro Samurai. And it's like, I just got here. Can I get something to eat? Can I take a shower? I just got here. Can I get a minute? Can I take a nap?
He was bleeding. He's like, I'm bleeding. My leg is bleeding.
He just had to get right. He just had to get healed up. He didn't get changed. It was like he just got home. Shit. And then they duel, and I love the decision to make the Darksaber difficult to wield, not only because obviously energized blade that would be difficult to manage if you didn't have training, but there's also somewhat of a spiritual element to it. Mm-hmm. So that is really deep, because they could go a million different ways with that. We've seen a little bit of that in Rebels with Sabine and everybody learning how to use it, and that we got to see that here. I mean, someone whose religion obviously is weapons, having trouble wielding a sword because it's much more than a sword. I think it adds to the importance of their clan being so religious, as opposed to just being extremists or heretics, being so singular minded in their way being the only way to be. The sword having some kind of a spiritual connection to the user kind of reinforces that, instead of making them look crazy. And also them surviving based on their methods was also incredible as well. And then of course it might have to do with the weight that he has on his conscience, of that he did remove his helmet, so he's not feeling pure, if you will. And then finding out to purify yourself, you got to go, bathe in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. It's like, damn. So every time he shows up and talks to the armorer, she sends him on a mission off planet where he has to go on a wild goose chase, like return Grogu to the Jedi, who are all but extinct at this point, or go purify yourself in a planet that's all but destroyed at this point. You don't even know if it's there anymore. You don't know how to get there. You don't know if there's any, even before you left, what he knew before the war, those mines, he thought, those waters were gone. And he's like, what can I tell you? Peace. Tough. And then he don't even have a ship. He has to go take the bus. It's like
public transportation.
You gotta take public transportation. You gotta swipe the car. Yo, Mando's having a rough way to go, despite but that's character growth. And the droid asking him to check your weapons. look, the perfect part about that to me was it showed you can have lighthearted, cute, funny comedy moments, and it doesn't take you out of the action. That flows and keeps the story going, and it enforces and adds to the story. It's on every aspect from education to the lore to action to acting to comedy relief. This episode just hit every single beat out of the park. And then, like you guys talked about before with the acting, we're told we have to see Tomorrow's face all the time, so that way the show could have better acting. But I mean, these three are putting on Shakespeare with helmets on.
Yeah,
we don't see their faces, and we all are emotionally invested in what is going on between them and what they have to say.
Not one helmet removed, not one,
and not one helmet removed, not even the tease of it. And it's like,
even when she basically told him, like, she asked, "Did you remove your helmet?" You know, and he hesitated.
The look
he said,
on his face.
Crickets.
Yeah, like you can actually, but here's the thing: it was the movement, the mannerisms that let you know what he felt.
When he gets on that ship and just sits down in the seat, like, fuck, you can tell the weight of the world is on his shoulders. You don't need to see his eyes for that. You don't need to see his face. You can feel it through the body language. He does a phenomenal job of it, and proves that there's some scenes that were Boba could have kept that damn helmet on and got his point across better than trying to act his way through it, because part of the weight of that character, the strength of that character, is the fear that armor imposes on the galaxy. Everybody knows who Boba Fett is, and they know that from the Mandalorian, reputation. They don't know that from his scowling at you. They know they're afraid of that helmet. So I think that this, we're only like 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in at this point, and they've given us so much to digest. It's like, but at the same time, it didn't feel like they were rushing through information. I mean, yeah, he had to get out real quick, but it felt like because of the mistake that he made. Otherwise, he'd been able to hang out and recover and get more missions and go about his business. But this was such a powerful couple opening scenes, and it's just, the more happened in this opening 10, 15 minutes than a lot of what's happened on some of the whole episodes and some of the other episodes this season. So it was definitely a powerful first, interaction, rejoining the clan.
It was crazy because I was talking to Will about this earlier today, and he was like, "Yo, bye-bye Beskar, Spear." Also, it's seeming more and more that the Mandos are intense zealots than we may have realized. Bo was right. Mando doesn't need them. So it was crazy that he said that, because I was like, yo, this episode did sort of like amplify that notion.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, especially from, what we got, But before we, basically bounce over, I mean, I got to give, I can't, we got to give credit that we're even having this conversation. We got to give credit to the person who gave us such an amazing episode. I mean, Bryce Dallas Jordan came in and just said, "You know what? Just hold up. Just hold up. Just sit back, enjoy the ride. I'm just going to give you a bit of feel good." And she did that. I mean, she really did that with this episode. So I wanted to, I mean, seriously, the ladies are representing. You know what I mean? If she listen, I mean, might be too early to say, look, give her own film or Star Wars film, because we got to see a bit more, but it's never too late to say she can't have her own show. Give her a show. Give her a show. Give her a Disney Plus show, because she is going to kill it, like literally going to kill it. So definitely I was excited, definitely about that, man. And I'm so glad. But yeah, we talked about earlier how, he had to basically take public transport, and how he was basically dealing with that. And again, we see him sitting there, and he's looking at that cloth and what he actually has, in there for Grogu. Cece, what do you think? Like, if you had to really think and imagine what we could possibly get, or what he's actually going to deliver to Grogu, what do you think this is? Like, what do you think, his gift to Grogu would be?
I think to me anyway, it seems really obvious that it was chainmail, because we saw the armor forging those jump rings, and that basically makes up chainmail. And I think that would be the only practical way that you can give armor to someone as small as Grogu. Especially, I kind of think like they were having this conversation about Grogu being his foundling. So part of me kind of likes the idea that if it's chainmail, that could easily be melted down and turned into something else as Grogu gets older.
Yeah.
So that kind of idea of like heritage, that Grogu's getting gifted this, and then he's basically inheriting it from his surrogate father, Din Djarin, and hopefully that'll pass through his generations if there are any. But I did love the public transportation. I'm a sucker for anything that kind of shows us the sides of Star Wars that we don't see all the time, because it just makes it feel more real. Yeah. Like if he has to ride public transport, then it kind of makes it feel like he's kind of the everyday guy who's just making his way through the galaxy. But it also really reminds you that he chopped that guy's head off because he doesn't have the Razor Crest. He can't just freeze people in carbonite anymore. Mm-hmm. His lifestyle has really changed since he lost that ship, and I think that's what kind of carried on into the scenes we got once he got to Tatooine. And then I love the Easter egg with the that Rex droid that you'll find at Disney World and Disneyland, because I'm a huge Disney fan. I thought that was great. And how long it took him to take all of his weapons off, and basically reiterating that that weapons are part of his religion. Anything that kind of reminds us of the Mando legends, I'm all about. So just that one line. There's a few great little Easter eggs in this episode that I thought were really for the fans.
Yes, definitely for the fans. And I like the conversation. And we got 148 people watching tonight, man. Wow, I'm so glad. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I love the conversation that he had with the armor. When she was like, the Jedi way is not to, cling or have attachments, not cling to emotion. And he was like, well, we're the complete opposites. We believe in loyalty. We believe in, you know what I mean? So, and that, to me, that dichotomy there, like how that was just, just like the juxtaposition of one way versus the other. And a reason why he has the need, and why, he's explaining that attachment. It's like saying that the Mandos don't, like, because he's a foundling, it's okay to have that attachment, because in a sense, it gives you a sense of purpose, but also grounds you, that you have that level of purpose. And that's what I loved about it. And you can see, like, it's as much as he doesn't want to admit it or say it, he loves Grogu. He loves that creature. He loves him. Like, he sees him as his own. And to be away from him is just like, he's doing everything he can to get to him. And I love that. What do you think? Like, just like seeing this is like, it's like you can almost see that he's reading, like when he's sitting there with that, and I'm gonna echo what Cece is saying, like the chainmail, like, cause I believe that's what it, cause when we saw it, that's what it was basically melted down to. Like, it was just, you saw that, so it makes perfectly good sense. But it seems like he's looking at it, but just reliving the past, reliving his experiences with Grogu, and it's like he just almost can't wait to see him again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I have to wonder, what I was particularly struck by was how, of course he's going to worry about Grogu, but is there a certain connection that they have that isn't defined? Grogu always seemed to sense when Mando was in trouble. And it's true, like, he could see what was going on. Sometimes he misjudged it, but I have a feeling they have a stronger bond than what we know. There may be some way that they can sense each other's, feelings in a way. So I kind of am holding on to that, because no matter what happens in Grogu's life and no matter what happens in Din's life, they're always going to care about one another, and that bond is there forever. And so as far as I'm concerned, it's more than just, yes, it is father and son relationship, but there may be a little bit more, perhaps maybe because Grogu is so strong in the Force. Now, in regards to this, first of all, I love how they tie the pouch and it looks like his head, like the shape of his head, which was a very nice nod to him. But I also think that when he's looking at that pouch, he's missing Grogu terribly, and he fears that Grogu is in danger. Now, I don't know how he senses that, but like I said, I honestly believe that he is able to sense when Grogu is in danger. I know it's a stretch, I know, but there has to be something more to the bond between the two of these individuals. And I also don't think Din is an ordinary individual. Yes, it's true that he is a foundling, but we still don't know the individual's name who saved him, as a foundling. He might actually have been with a group of people who have the same level or stake to ruling Mandalore that Boba Fett has, let's say. It's not a direct line, but, it's kind of like a line where whoever had him was a very powerful individual. And I think that, there's some fear from the armorer and from Vizsla about Din because of this. And then on top of it, he gets this armor. So now they're really kind of terrified of someone who they feel perhaps shouldn't really have anything to do with this, because he's involved with so many things that they feel may be considered not appropriate for a leader of Mandalore. So while it looks like they're kind of kind to him, I also think that they are kind of tolerating him. And he's actually brought a lot to the plate. He's brought them all that Beskar. He brought them more Beskar now. He may be one of the persons who is their only connection to the outside world. But even despite that fact, they still keep him very much in the dark.
You know what? And I'm going to go to you in a second, Aries. But there's Lamek just basically brought something up that was very important, force sensitive. Now, this is what I'm going back to. And I'm going to flash back to the final episode of season 2. When Mando was talking to Luke, it was how Luke was looking at Din Djarin, as if he felt something, as if he knew something, because some of the comments that he was making to him was like, especially when he was saying, gifts without training, you know what I mean? Like, literally, it was almost to say, like, even like Grogu's attachment to Din Djarin, it's like he feels something. Do you think, like, all right, Aries, I'm going to pose it this way. Is it possible that Din Djarin could possibly be force sensitive? Now, we know that the force flows through all of us, but it, basically, it penetrates, but at the same time, with the force, it is highly connected. In Din Djarin, we see a part of him where, he can tap into certain things that gives him the advantage. So is it possible that he could be a force wielder? He can be a force user, that he could be force sensitive and he doesn't know it. And now that we know, and like people have basically been saying, when he goes to basically visit Grogu, that Luke is going to reveal not only things about the Darksaber, but who he really is. Do you think it's possible? Now, I know that we probably won't get that segue or that revelation until season 3, but do you think it's possible that Din Djarin could be force sensitive?
And I say yes. Look, I can smell. I think I can smell what Favreau and Filoni are cooking. And are you kidding me?
Yeah.
If they go that route a little bit, baby, and they introduce that, wow. But listen. The new Mickey Mouse is absolutely Grogu. And here's an interesting story about how Grogu has touched people.
Yeah.
So my daughter Elizabeth, who's a big Marvel fan and a giant Spider-Man fan, she's a very, very casual. She's not into Star Wars like my other daughters. She's into it like my wife. They like it. It's okay.
Yeah.
She got really into this show, like so many other people, The Mandalorian, because of Grogu. And I kid you not, with the ending scene, she had tears in her eyes, and she walked away and said, "That sucked." True story.
Yeah.
Because she's so attached to Grogu. And if this is the new Mickey Mouse, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind, there never was, that they are going to intertwine this little guy into the Star Wars universe like we've never seen before. Now, the rumors I heard for the Mandalorian season 3 opener, where it actually opens up with Grogu and Luke? Because I really think there's no way in the world that Luke's not going to get his own show. Probably with a different actor, but that's a different topic there. Yeah. But listen, I am just so like for me, looking at this scene here, seeing how this episode was going, the imagination of where they're probably going with this whole Filoni-verse, I think is going to be absolutely unbelievable. I think we're going to love the direction that they're going with this. But force sensitivity, baby, with Din Djarin, can you imagine that with the Darksaber? Well, come on. Would he actually? Is it possible? Would he undergo some training? Come on, think about it. Would he? A little bit?
I want to answer that.
Didn't really Boba do it?
I want to answer that. I want to answer that, but I don't want to be wrong. I want to answer that, but I just really don't be wrong. So that's why I'm so reserved. Real quick, we got a $5 super chat. Bounty Collector, is it possible we see the Black Sun or Crimson Dawn behind the Pikes? I believe. Yeah. I honestly believe. I believe because I believe because right now there is some books that are being written and it's telling the story of Kira right now, and her rise to power, and how she's basically been, navigating through the criminal underworld. Vinny, again with this, man, look, like someone said before, not all Jedi or not everybody who's force sensitive is a Jedi. We know that, you know what I mean? Yep. And it's some very interesting points. Not everyone has to be a Jedi. Leia. But Leia, exactly. And they're, to say a person's force sensitive, they don't always have to be equated to the Jedi. And I think that even Luke knew that and understood that. We learned that he actually understood that. We learned that Ahsoka even understood that. She was force sensitive, who stepped away from the Jedi Order. You know what I mean? And now is still attached to it, but her own way. We also see that the Jedi way was tainted. It was tainted because that detachment from emotion also, it heightens hubris. You know what I mean? You're just so arrogant and you believe that you are holier than thou. You know what I mean? So, again, here we go. What do you think, Vin?
All right. So, first, real quick, I want to answer that other question about the gifts. I think that they did tease that it was some kind of chainmail of some sort. And I definitely could see it being, like Bilbo giving Frodo the metal armor vest, and it being something that he could have to, has as gear, because obviously it wouldn't make sense for him to be wearing armor proper. But as far as Din Djarin being force sensitive, obviously it's possible. Anything is possible, but that kind of happens with Star Wars, right? Anytime somebody does anything cool, they must be force sensitive.
Yeah.
I like that right now. He's just a badass who can, throw down as bad as anybody and put in work without having to have any attachment to the Force. I feel like if he's force sensitive, I think it kind of takes away some of the lore of what the Mandalorians are. I like that his badassness comes from his creed, his clan, the Mandalorians, and they're being raised as soldiers in a kind of like a war planet, more so than because of his heightened instincts from being force sensitive. While it's obviously possible, and while of course we'd love to see him get trained how to use the Darksaber more properly, that could happen from whether he's force sensitive or not. I can imagine, because Sabine wasn't, and she got trained how to use it. So I don't think that taking away that aspect of the force sensitivity takes away from the possibility of Luke or Ahsoka coming back and training him how to use it better. So I definitely think that we could see him learning more properly. It's really frustrating that he didn't get to do more training with the armor on how to use it before he got kicked out. But I just don't see right now the upside of them making him force sensitive beyond I feel like it's low hanging fruit. I like that he's just badass because he's Mandalorian and he was raised.
The reason why I mention that is because the biggest thing here is that we know the story of, half Jedi, half Mandalorian, who wielded the Darksaber. Now, that was centuries. We haven't seen one since. So it's sort of like
that it wouldn't be cool or that it wouldn't make sense. I just don't think that they
I don't think that they should automatically go there right now.
Yeah.
If it's something that's going to happen,
but I'm cool with them not doing it either too.
Yeah, and if they don't, and that's cool. Or it'd be cool if they recognize that and he's just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. I mean,
and just stays just basically who he is, because we love the badass Mandalorian that we have. And I love that. You know what I mean? He can recognize that he is, but just be like, you know what?
Yeah.
As long
as they don't do him like Finn, I mean, because there's force sensitive characters that they played up, force sensitive characters that didn't really play it up. So as long as they keep his story strong, I feel like that might be a possibility in the future. But I don't think he needs it. I feel like you could say that for characters who would be less interesting without that.
Exactly. Charlie Unicorn, you exactly. You said it exactly the way I needed that explanation. Gideon knows within his heart what he wants to do, so the sword responds. Exactly. Exactly. He wasn't fighting against it because he basically was so charged and confident. So that's I get that. Thank you for that, Charlie. Mario, man, in again, we're talking about his relationship with Grogu, the gifts that he has, for him. And we just mainly just talking about like just what do you think that he's going to present to him and the effect that it's going to have. I mean, I think that people basically are more so looking for just that interaction again between Din Djarin and Grogu when they see each other for the first time again. But what do you think, in your mind, this gift, what do you think he might be presenting to him?
I think it's exactly what Vinny said. It's just like a smaller scale chainmail.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it looks that way, considering what she actually forged for him. Hopefully we'll find out soon enough. Did anybody notice too that the pouch was actually it looked like it was shaped like Grogu's head?
Yeah.
With like the little ears on the side and everything like that.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny. That was kind of
I
cute.
know that he got skimped on that though. I'm sorry, Mario, but it must have had a lot of Beskar left over that she kept.
Yeah.
It looked like she just melted just the tip though, dude, of that spear.
Yeah.
It looked like there was because
he said it. He said melt it down
and
and turn it, whatever. So he just
right, give it to the foundlings, and then just save a little bit, for Grogu.
Yeah.
So but yeah, man, I'm also wondering too. Do you think we'll actually? I anticipate them meeting up again once more, and I also have the same idea with Vinny that he's got to be. Lucas has to show him like how to wield that thing.
Yeah.
Right? Whether he's force sensitive or not.
He just has to show him. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So and I don't necessarily agree about. I mean, well, to an extent, regarding Gideon, how he did. He understood, his heart was there, what he wanted to do with it, and the saber did follow. But at the same time, I don't know if it's just due to the actor or if it was intentional that it did kind of like he was actually struggling too wielding that thing as well.
Yeah.
Even though the saber was actually following his movement, to me it did look like he was kind of struggling with it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think they're definitely going to meet up again. But also at the same time, we're just probably going to get a little bit of saber training. But considering there's only 2 episodes left, I really hope they don't dwell on that
too
long.
much,
Right?
Too much.
And also too, do you guys think that we'll actually see it like off camera, or you think we'll see it on camera, or?
It's weird, right? Because he said he had to stop to make before he held Boba, so I can't imagine whatever he has to do, whether it's meet up with Grogu or meet up with Luke and Grogu, that being a quick, hi bye, it would seem like that would be a whole episode. So are they going to spend a whole nother episode before he returns to the fight? In which case, I mean, I figured that he would obviously reunite with Grogu and Luke, save that for his show. It does. I mean, this was great, but as it is, it was like, Boba who? So 2 episodes.
Exactly.
It's kind of I don't know.
Yeah, we have to get back to that. Actual
as much as I love it, it is taking away from Boba's show if it's 2 episodes in a row of what Mando's up to.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that he sees Luke just quick enough for Luke to be like the wand chooses the wizard, and that's
Okay.
and that's how he's like, oh,
Yeah,
okay. Like I think that the reason why that's how I described the Darksaber anyway when he's struggling with it in like the Harry Potter language, and I feel like I don't know if you could see, like, I think I'm going to have neck issues from how often I was nodding when Vinny was talking, and that I don't want him to be force sensitive. I think, like you said, it's low hanging fruit. And, like, I'm a huge Thrawn fan. I've talked about this. I think one of his greatest attributes is that he's not a space wizard. Like, he's not force sensitive, but he manages to kick ass anyway. I want them to keep that with Mando. But I appreciate that it kind of, it's like, I don't want to say, like, we can't figure out new storylines, but it's almost like the prince who was promised Dune. If you saw Dune, like the way that was headed, it's almost like everyone wants to shoehorn Mando into this person that's going to take on Mandalore and take over Mandalore. I want that, but and I think that the Darksaber is kind of him being that reluctant hero. I want to continue to see him being that reluctant hero, because it's almost like if anyone watched Game of Thrones, I don't want it.
Yeah, Jon Snow and I don't want it.
Yeah, right? and I think I said this actually about Boba Fett too, where Joffrey was told by Tywin, his grandfather, like, if you have to tell people you're a king constantly, you're not a king. Mm-hmm. So I feel like Mando doesn't want it, and that they're kind of alluding to the armor mentioned how they rode the great mythosaurs. We know Boba Fett has a Rancor. I was kind of anticipating Boba Fett kind of fitting that role and riding a Rancor into Mos Espa and creating kind of this legendary status. But I do think that maybe it's setting season 3 up that he's going to kind of learn why he's fighting the Darksaber. We're going to hopefully learn more about Mandalore, and it kind of sets him on this path to kind of take back Mandalore. But I don't want him to be force sensitive. I want him to manage that. And also I do like the idea that if he's the one who does that and yields the Darksaber, it's because of his connection to Grogu. Grogu being force sensitive and being one of the most powerful species we've ever seen that have been force sensitive. Yeah. We know Yoda. I think just having that connection, his sigil being the Mudhorn, connecting the two of them, I think that's enough to invoke that kind of he's the heir we need to take back Mandalore.
And is the response to the blade could be his emotional attachment to protect Grogu by any cost. So that may fuse it to whereas when he's around him, that's when he feels, that
basically Anakin's downfall, his connection to Padme. Yeah. I think Grogu is kind of Mando's literal ball and chain. So it's interesting to see where they'll take that.
Yeah, like Aries was saying, like about Grogu, he's been a complete Trojan horse for casual fans to get into the Star Wars mythos. However, I as much as I love the character, I don't want the entirety of Star Wars going forward, especially on the Disney Plus shows, to be like ball and chain, like Cece said, to Grogu, where we can't have a successful show without him or his appearance. It's. I mean, I like him too, but this.
That's what I didn't want for this show.
I felt like Book of Boba Fett was a test. Can you do a Mandalorian show without a cute little sidekick? And I feel like this episode of Book of Boba Fett showed that we will be able to at least get Mandalorian as a strong show without Grogu around. If I'd rather him have his own show with Luke, with maybe Sebastian Stan playing him or something, than to feel like Grogu has to be in Mando season 3 in order for it to be a success. Because this show, I feel, is like a big litmus test. This episode, an even bigger litmus test to see if Disney feels confident that they can do all season 3 without having to feel like he has to reunite with Grogu after no time apart, basically. So I mean, I want Mandalorian to be able to go on for many seasons without feeling like it has to just be have Grogu the whole time. I want him to be able to be on his own.
I don't want. See, the thing is, if he goes to basically visit Grogu, I want that in my opinion, and it's just my opinion. I want that to be off screen. I don't want us to see that. I don't want us to know anything about that until season 3. I just want him to return and be the muscle that he's supposed to be, with no hint or explanation as to what went on when he was there. You know, we
I
might
don't think
see
they're
him.
going to show that.
I
the
don't.
reuniting in this
I hope they
season.
don't.
I don't
I
If
think
you
so.
save Mando
really
3,
hope they don't.
save it for Mando 3 and let it be a flashback for Mario.
Yeah, let it be Mando, or it doesn't even. It can be a segue where we just go right into it without being a flashback, knowing that he was there and what went on. You know, just let it be that. I just don't want it, because Boba has to. The book of Boba has to stand on its own 2 feet. It has to. Like it really does, and that's, you know, where I'm at with it. You know what I mean? I don't want, like, again, and that's why I was torn. I was torn with the simple fact that, okay, cool, I'm good with this episode. I'm fine. And I'm glad it's here, and I'm glad that we're finally getting something that's more upbeat. But at the same time, it's just like, okay, now you've exposed, you know, how indifferent everyone has been. You've exposed now that how unbalanced this show has been. And now you set a bar so high that may be unachievable with these next two episodes.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because now you have to spend 2 episodes, literally 2 episodes, redeeming the train wreck that we got of the last 4 episodes. Like, literally, because it was so divisive. Like, literally, you made, I'm sorry to say this, but you made Boba Fett look like a bitch ass motherfucker. Like, seriously, like, he is like he has no purpose. Like, we know his purpose, but at the same time, he's still not respected. There's zero respect for this person.
Do you remember that scene?
He spoke crime boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember that scene from the second season when they blew up the refinery, and we saw Bill Burr and Mando walked out of the Slave One, and he was like, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were someone else." Like, he was relieved that it was Boba Fett because he thought it was Mando.
Yeah.
I think that's what, and it's a shame because it's like, well, how do they do our guy Boba Fett right in 2 episodes?
Right.
We don't know. I don't know if this is going to be a limited season where we just have a series where we have 7 episodes. But you know, it doesn't. I'm not going to stop appreciating Boba Fett because we still have Empire Strikes Back. He's still going to be the badass that talked back to Vader, in my opinion. But it is a shame that they kind of put a lot of eggs in Mando's basket, and there's nothing really left for Boba Fett.
Yeah, true.
It would have been really interesting if Boba had actually challenged Mando to get the Darksaber. Like, that would have been hardcore. But at this point, I don't really see Boba Fett doing that. But that would have been a solution to all of this.
He wouldn't win.
Challenged him, and it would have been like the fight of the century. Like, that would have been like, what?
At this point, he would just ask Mandalorian, "Hey, can we agree that it's a tie?" Because that's kind of like, he's so peaceful. It's like the Zen crime boss. It's just it's a contradiction.
Yeah, it is. Now, the one thing that I was glad that they did talk about and show us was the Night of 1,000 Tears. Like, I was so glad that they kind of gave us a look at the Purge, you know, from a certain light, and they did it just right. They didn't have to give us too much.
Yeah,
and like, they didn't have to
Judgment
give us too.
Day.
Yeah, like, that's what it was.
Terminators.
Exactly.
It was 1997.
Exactly. They didn't have to give us too much. They gave us just enough, and the cinematography was amazing.
It's unbelievable.
Like, it was unbelievable. Like, yo, I could not I kept rewinding this scene because I just wanted to pick certain things out, you know, and to see the TIE bombers flying. Oh man, come on, man. Like, straight up. Like, Mario, I'm gonna start with you real quick. I know it's ladies first, but I'm saying when we got a chance to see those TIE bombers, bro. What did you think about it, man? When you got a chance to see this scene, bro?
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I mean, I always love the TIE bombers, man. I mean, it's such a unique design, and just to see like an entire fleet of them just come in and just do what they did to Mandalore was just absolutely crazy. Yeah. And the way they set it up too, it's exactly Judgment Day, Night of 1,000 Tears. I mean, it's really, really sad. We just got a little glimpse of it, but I mean, this is something that I'm hoping that they explore a little bit in further detail, possibly in season 3 of Mandalorian or wherever else it may land. Because I would like to know, you know, some of the events like that actually led up to this. I mean, if anything, possibly in the comics, maybe. But yeah, I would love to see more of this. Yeah. But yeah, it told so much in such a little scene. You know, we got so much out of it, and yeah, that just goes to the testament of the writing again. You know, I mean, you know, you got to give credit where credit is due to Favreau with this particular episode, man. I mean, even though the rest of the series was a little, you know, fell short, but this this little scene, actually, there was so much in this entire episode that was just so little, but it just told so much. And this was just another one of those scenes that actually did that, man. So
it was crazy. It was crazy. Aries, were you on the edge of your seat when you saw this scene, man?
TIE bombers. My goodness. Is it possible we're going to get more scenes like this?
Yeah.
You have to wonder.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, this was just like freaking, this whole episode was so darn epic. And I mean, listen, look, and here's the God's honest truth. And I tell people this on my channel because, I have this membership thing. It's like, oh, you do unboxings. I said, never trust a review from me, any of that stuff, because I give everything like an 11 out of 1 out of 10 because I love all this stuff. But listen, if it's okay, I'd love to address the Grogu thing if I could real quick.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, whether we want him back or don't want him back, here's the things I think as diehard fans we need to brace ourselves for. And I've never brought this up on a show, but I'm going to bring it up here. I think that they messed up a little bit with the finale from a business perspective, because all I've been sensing when the finale of The Mandalorian Season 2 is them going in there saying, how the F are we going to get all the grandmas and great-grandmas and grandpas and all these casual fans to want to tune in because the little green guy is gone? I understand where we're coming from diehards. And so whether we want him there or we don't want him there, I think we need to brace that we're going to see this little guy next week, because they want to make sure from a business perspective that everyone knows he is 1,000% in The Mandalorian Season 3. Please tune in. Now, that may piss a lot of us off, or a lot of people, the diehard fans. But I really have been sensing, and I've been calling that they're going to do it. Now, whether it's right or wrong, like you said, Leah, we'll have our opinions, and that's fine. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think from a specific Disney perspective, and whether Favreau or Filoni even wanted to, whoever at Disney probably said, get him in here and get him in here now, because I want great grandma to watch the next thing. Okay, boss, we'll find a way to put him in. So I just want to say that. Remember, I goof around with the Mickey Mouse thing, but I've talked to people that have went to Disney World, Disneyland, even in the Marvel shops. They can't keep Grogu merchandise on the shelf. So we have to look at it from that. They're going to do that, and he is going to be around Star Wars. You got to look at it this way. We need a new Luke. I know what you were saying, Vinny, and all that, but we need a new Luke now. It's a different time. I think you're gonna have Grogu not in every scene, not in every episode, but as a character that's, let me use a word, prevalent in everything around that. He's going to be prevalent with the Order 66 thing too. Because I really think what's leading up to Boba, not to close my statement here, I really think that Mace or something's going to happen with the Mace Windu thing. He's going through all this peace and tranquility and everything, with the Tusken Raiders, and they keep showing that flashback because I don't see him as a crime boss. I see him going after what's his name. That's where I think it's going to go. Personally, I think snap. I think he's going to snap. I think they're going through all this Zen stuff with him because it's going to go out the window when this happens. And is it possible that redeems some of his lameness? I don't know. I mean, I could see it that way. But with Grogu, I think whether we like it or not, Lale, I think we have to buckle up, because I think that they got a little nervous with the finale, thinking that some people, we're going to tune in.
Yeah,
but I've talked to people where they don't even know who the Mandalorian is, but they know who Baby Yoda.
Grogu is. That's the thing is, I definitely believe that. I mean, there's some truth to that. Like I said, but that speaks to the simple fact that, number one, with this particular character, it's like, okay, they're looking at it from a business perspective, but what happens when that business decision becomes a bit oversaturated? You know what I mean? Then what are they going to move on to next? You know what I mean? So that's my only fear, because like they have to be extremely careful of how they give. It's like a little bit of a dose is okay. A hint of it is okay. To basically let people know that, and I think, to be quite honest, this episode gave us just enough. Knowing that that's where he's actually going, we don't need to really necessarily see Grogu, but to know that he's still around and to know that with this episode, we are going to listen. And this is what I wanted to go through next, because we're going to get there, and that's why I was saving like the Naboo Starfighter last, because there's a reason why, and it was something that was explained to him about the droid cockpit. That was like, okay, now I know where this is going. I know where it's actually going. But when you actually saw this scene, Night of 1,000 Tears, and actually how it evolved, like what did you think?
Well, I was terrified because, as many of you already said, these look like Terminators. And I was never afraid of K2SO before, because I'd been charmed by him from Rogue One and had been wanting a K2SO. And I was like, if I could pick any droid, it would be K2SO. You're like, I'd want a K2SO droid for myself. And now I'm terrified of them. Like, this was scary. Yeah. And they were just kind of, I think that to pay homage to Terminator that we've all seen, and to make it look so authentic, like you could not refrain from associating it with it, and that added to the terror of the scene. The Mandalorians didn't stand a chance here. They just came down hard on them, and I think a lot of people, people have often said, well, why did the Mandalorians, how are they defeated, and why are there so few of them? It's because the Empire kicked their ass. They're the strongest, maybe the best soldiers and fighters out there, but nobody could stand up to that, and the Empire knew they had to get rid of these guys, as many of them as they could, and they did. And it's tragic, but seeing that defeat, this must have been one of the worst things ever for them or anyone to have to go through, and they did such a good job of showing that. Even the fire, the whole planet looked like it was on fire from the scene you're showing. It was terrifying, and that was. I'm glad some of them escaped to the moon, and probably in the middle of the night or something. I'm just trying to figure out how. And it's very interesting, the collection of individuals who managed to escape. What clan does the armorer belong to? Is she Clan Vizsla? We already know we have one individual from Clan Vizsla. Maybe it was a group of people in each of the clans that didn't agree with how things were going, and like, I got to get the hell out of here. But they couldn't tell anyone. Maybe that's why they keep their helmets on, because they couldn't tell their families that they were leaving. Except, and
we do know that Clan Vizsla was fractured and split.
Yes, we do.
It was split down the middle. So we know that, there's one side and there's another side. One that's a thirst for power, one that actually thirsts for just order and amongst bringing Mandalore back to that foundation. So,
but I have to wonder, maybe that's why they keep their helmets on, because if there should ever be an encounter where it's like, oh, it's you, they don't want to be recognized specifically. It's in addition to being part of what they believe in. Maybe that's why they're so, focused on keeping their helmets on, because you don't want to know what's under the armorer's helmet.
Yeah, that's true. CC3PO, this scene, this scene was like a complete massacre, like literally.
Well, Vinny said that this episode was, well, the whole series, but especially I think this episode was really inspiring from an art perspective, because I could definitely see this scene being an incredible art piece. I wouldn't tackle it, God knows, but and I you know what? I don't know if I'm not a hot toy collector. I don't know if they would reissue K2SO, because they have said that Andy Tudyk is not involved in the Andor series. So it does make me question if we're at least not going to see K2SO in the Andor series, but maybe we'll at least see the droid. So I don't know if they would issue like a K2 series, but not necessarily K2SO. But this scene was, and I appreciate that you mentioned the few that did escape to go to the moon. Now we know that Mando was basically rescued by Death Watch, and that Death Watch were those ones that escaped to the moon.
Yeah.
I think that's why he has this kind of orthodox view of Mandalorians with the not removing a helmet and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But also, I do question if perhaps seeing Bo-Katan and how her and her people why am I blanking on Sasha Banks' character? Casca Reeves.
Casca Reeves, yeah.
And Axe Wolves, like they take their helmets off, but also he now knows because the armor provided that backstory. Bo-Katan is kind of seen as a failure amongst the few Mandalorians that exist because of the Darksaber situation, because she kind of had the breeding for it with her sister ruling Mandalore. She still managed to fail at reconquering Mandalore. Yeah. So I think that's only going to cement the feelings he has, and it would be interesting if we do see him kind of go on that pilgrimage to those mines. It would be another side quest to the main story, perhaps, but I'm sure they'd be able to rope it in with us learning more about what's going to be going on with Mandalore this whole time. Yeah. If we see something like that in season 3.
Yeah, definitely. And I think basically, like, you know, even the explanation of the Darksaber that, you know, the armor supplied also answered the question of how Bo-Katan lost it. Mm-hmm. It was handed to her. She probably couldn't handle it or wield it, you know, at all. And that's basically how she lost it, you know. Vinny.
Skynet, man.
Yeah.
Skynet, you know? So as soon as I seen it, I was like, man, we're getting a lot of backstory. That was my first thought. Like, Armor was just, like, she was pressed for time and telling us as much about the Mandalorian history in that little bit of exchange as she possibly could, and filling us in and setting us up for the rest of the show and jumping us on into Mando season 3. And I love that we got kind of like a aftermath type of scene, because we got to see in the midst of the battle in Mandalorian show, but now we're seeing it as after the aftermath of just a complete like apocalyptic situation on Mandalore, which answers questions and adds questions like, what is there waiting for Mandalorian to go back to if he does try to find those mines? Like, what's on that planet now? Is it just ruins? Has someone else populated it? It also added to the weight of how much hate Mando has for the droids, because it wasn't just like if you attacked his village. I mean, they took out his planet. And I also like Armor's like bitterness of the Empire, because now they did all this damage and yet she's still like, you know, for all this hype of how great they are, they only lasted 30 years and we've been around for 10,000. But yet that they were able to do a hell of a lot of damage in 30 years. And I guess thank God for them, they didn't have a Death Star yet, or else they would have just blown the planet up from orbit. I loved it because it added questions and answered them at the same time, because it's going to be very interesting to see what is left. For all we know, there's I mean, if there's mines for him to go back to, maybe there's Mandalorians who escaped underground as well as to the moon. I don't know, we'll definitely that's interesting. Like we'll definitely see that. And I guess it's going to be answered. We'll get that answer basically when he goes to, like you said, dip his toes in Lake Minnetonka. You know what I mean? Purify yourself. The water.
You got to purify yourself. So we're going to basically see that. But okay, so you know this right here. Okay, so I wanna kind of bring this. But here's one of the things that, you know, I was extremely excited about seeing again. Now, I know there's some people who have mixed feelings about this, but I was okay with it when we saw it. When he goes back to Tatooine, and we noticed that, you know, he, you know, got her message that she found him a new Razor Crest, but it wasn't the new Razor Crest. We got the Naboo Starfighter, a souped up version, a modified version of that Starfighter. Mario, seeing this, was it, you know, a bit of like received nostalgia for you, or was it just like, how did you feel about it?
It was Wizard, Leo. I mean, a little. I mean, it reminded me of, you know, the mess that was episode 1, but at the same time, I think it gave us probably some of the better parts of episode 1, considering that we went back to Beggar's Canyon.
Beggar's Canyon was
that was cool to see, and seeing the Womp Rat in Beggar's Canyon just reminded me when Luke mentioned how he used to bullseye Womp Rats in his T-16. You know, in Beggar's Canyon. So that was a nice little callback. So, Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was a decent montage of them putting the whole thing together and actually just taking it out for a spin. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, episode 1, it was all right. It was all right. I wasn't mad on it, but I did enjoy it. I thought it was all right.
Yeah, definitely. Aries, what did you think about this when you saw this ship take flight? I mean, you see basically him, at first turning away. Because I literally, when they brought, I felt the same way when she unveiled it. I was like, no, come on. Please don't do it. But then I know that, they were going to modify it. I just wanted to see how it would actually fit. And I felt as though it sort of fit him. Would I have wanted to see another Razor Crest? Hell yeah. I love the Razor Crest, bro. I love that ship.
Yeah.
But it's like seeing this, it's like, okay, I guess I guess we got to kind of get used to it, but this is why I believe, like, even in a 1/6 scale world, we're going to actually probably see a 2-pack with him and this ship. That'd be incredible. But no, when you actually saw it, like, how did you feel about it? Was it a bit of nostalgia for you?
I feel like I feel like this episode was like a whole box of donuts, or like the whole cookie jar. And I took all the cookies out of it. I mean, I was just like blown away seeing all this stuff, and I was trying to fathom, like I said earlier before, seeing the ship, seeing R5D4, seeing Amy Sedaris again. We will get an Amy Sedaris figure, maybe packed with an R5D4, maybe one of those little Bop droids, whatever there is. I think they're gonna do it anyway. But I'm telling you, I mean, it's making me wonder, because obviously there's a lot of mixed feelings about the earlier episodes of Book of Boba Fett, right? So for a lot of people, they think, it's kind of lame, kind of a letdown. He's got some people really really like it. And the thing that's interesting to me, because I was kind of like watching this and smiling, I'm sure Favreau and Filoni, when they were filming these shows, they weren't like, this is so lame, let's go ahead and put a whole episode that's just Mando. Because if they really thought it was lame, they would probably reshoot, they would do some things and all that. So it's interesting. I mean, obviously they thought it was good. It's got mixed reviews, let's be honest. It's what it is. But I'm wondering, what's making me wonder is, I think that they put this in like they thought that they were nailing this out of the park, and they put this episode in. I don't feel like that this episode came in to save anything. They're making this whole show.
Interesting.
What are we gonna have in chapter 6? Yeah. What are we gonna have in chapter 7? Because if they can duplicate this again in the next 2 episodes, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm seeing this. I'm like losing my mind. I'm like, are we going to see Bosk next week? Is he finally going to show up? They've been teasing us that he's going to show up. We're going to see Dengar. We're going to see IG-88, whether he's alive or not, whatever. We're going to see Cad Bane. We're going to see Cobb Vanth. Yeah. I'm just like so excited, because I feel like that they've planned some of this. I don't think that they calculated correctly on the tempo. And the way that they're portraying Boba Fett, that they would have this type of mixed reaction. But maybe, like I said earlier, maybe there's a payoff. I know that Tamora Morrison and Ming-Na Wen have said that there's some kind of tremendous payoff. Yeah. And really, to me, this was a great payoff. Yeah. So if their opinion that something's going to be even better than what we saw this week, I mean, this was by far the best episode. Let's just be honest. I mean, it really, really was. Yeah. But what are we going to get next week? Yeah. The week after, are we going to? I don't know.
And now that's been my biggest question. Is like, what are we going to get? Because, this was such a great episode. Has the bars been set too high that they can't come down from with the next 2?
Well, I got an answer to that. Because remember how good that episode was with all the episodes last year. Remember we saw Ahsoka and she mentioned Thrawn.
Right.
Then we get the next episode, Boba. And then honestly, I feel like we forget about that episode 7 is like one of my favorites with Bill Burr.
Yeah.
that freaking show, that episode.
That was one of my favorite episodes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know. Maybe they're going to go up from there. Maybe it's going to go up from here. I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah, I don't know. Cece, how did you feel about this particular scene? Or how do you feel about him not having the Razor Crest and having now a Naboo starship as his new fighter for right now?
I think it adds another element to the things that we maybe aren't going to see, but we wonder about, because he clearly lived on the Razor Crest. It was the first in-canon appearance we've ever heard of the toilet when he asked where the evacuator was. So we definitely knew like he carried bounties in there. I think it's becoming more and more obvious that he's straying more and more from being a bounty hunter. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if necessarily it's a concern that he can't carry bounties in this, especially if he goes the way he has been, where he's now just, hacking their heads off instead of freezing them in carbonite. I did like that it kind of was a nod to the prequels. I think some people thought it was a bit kind of fan service that like is Tatooine that small that they happen to, and this was not the Naboo starfighter that Anakin was flying. They had different markings on it. But I think it's cool because I love the scenes of him in it. It kind of harkened back to Top Gun. I was trying to see if I could find it, but the coolest trivia fact I ever knew about episode 1 was that for the pod racing, they used Formula 1 cars as the audio. So I'm going to have to watch this again and see if that's something that I recognize, because I'm a huge Formula 1 fan. So I think that this it felt really practical that he was in the cockpit. It felt like an actual working ship, as opposed to kind of like a living relic like the Razor Crest. So I do dig this. And of course, so Matt, part of the covert in Rogue One 6, my co-host for we've been doing Shelter in Space. We've been watching these live and reacting to them on the channel. He historically does not like Grogu. It's a running joke of ours. He's just tired of seeing Grogu. Because I get it. He's like, Grogu takes away the badassery of Mando. He can't be killing people and also carrying, Grogu in a little sack on his shoulder. It's just not ethical, right? Child Protective Services would take issues with that. But the second he saw this,
Matt on the show.
Yeah. The second he saw this and the second cockpit where you'd put a droid, and we know historically Mando has an issue with droids, which he's kind of warming to droids, is a perfect spot for Grogu. So he was like, it just makes sense. That's a perfect spot for Grogu. So then I was questioning, I'm like, well, is he going to go on these side missions and just leave Grogu in the ship with this little chainmail on, and he'll leave a post-it on the window saying that the AC is on so that no one out in the car too long. But I liked this. I really liked this.
I just, like I said, him going through Beggar's Canyon, that thing was
Well,
it took me
stop.
Right. It just took me back. It did take me back. How did you feel? How do you feel about his new ship?
Well, I don't think he's going to be collecting tons and tons of bounties anymore. I think those days are over. I think that his missions are going to be more diplomatic or something that a typical person who would use this. But the only thing that I questioned was that I didn't want there to be I know it kind of, pays tribute maybe to the pod race era, but I don't want to see a pod race, I don't want to see that. And what was kind of interesting about this segment of the show was that this could have happened at any time in the series. But I guess there is some special race he might do, or this is how he needs to get around because he wants to go collect Grogu now. But I kind of feel like this could have been at the end. In fact, truth be told, this episode could have been the end of the Boba Fett series. It didn't have to be necessarily episode 5. So that was kind of something that I was thinking about, and we could have had all of Boba Fett. Mando could have come in and still helped him, but then when he needed to go back to the Enclave, it could have been at the end or a flashback or something he already took care of. So, it was very interesting that the placement of this episode, because I know some of you were talking about, why is it at this point? I think that the ship looks nice. It does look really nice. I think that he, we were just as surprised as Din was. He was expecting to get a Razor Crest. We're all expecting to get a Razor Crest. So of course we're all very surprised by this revelation of a ship. But I think that he has graduated now. He's left those dirty bounty hunter days behind, and now he has something that's a little bit more sleek. Obviously he knows that if he runs into any more of those Republic X-Wing fighter guys, they're gonna just he can zoom by, and the guy's like, your voice sounds familiar. You sound like somebody I know. And I'm like, of course you know this guy. He let him get away.
Yeah.
So I'm almost wondering if they're kind of looking at, Din as sort of a harmless person who actually kind of benefits, the Republic quite a bit.
Yeah.
And they're fine with that. And they're like, yeah, it's kind of good to have somebody who, is kind of a good guy at certain times when it counts the most. So that's a very interesting perspective that they presented. And I have a feeling we're going to see circumstances like this as the, the series progresses. And so, I just don't, like I said, I don't want it to be a pod race, but I guess there's going to be some special purpose for the speed.
Yeah.
And, it'll be like, he and Grogu traveling the galaxy, doing things that are very special, very unique. I don't think we're going to see a whole bunch of them together in every episode going forward. I think that might be something that I can't even wrap my head around that. Honestly. So season 3 has me at a bit of a, I'm quite in the dark about what they want to do. And, yes, this whole exercise was just to make sure that he found the Enclave, and that he's going to make sure, Grogu is safe and help Boba. So, this episode, they told you what was going to happen. It served its purpose. And, the thing for me with the Razor Crest was that it felt like it was a place they could live in, like it was a home. But let's be honest, that ship was not really, conducive to sort of like spending a whole bunch of time in, and having a life in there. It was a utility ship, and it served a purpose for him. Maybe he'll get another one. But I had to tell this to myself, because once I saw this, I said, well, what if he never gets a Razor Crest? What if he doesn't get another one? It's like, you're going to have to let go of that idea of associating the Razor Crest with him and just kind of let it go. Don't get upset, just ease yourself out of the idea of the Razor Crest, and, just kind of open myself to the possibility that he may be doing things that we've never seen before. So let's see these new things that Din and Grogu may be doing that we've never seen before.
Yeah, because the Razor Crest did seem like it had a lot of bad luck surrounding it. Vinny, what you think? What do you think about it? Do you miss the Razor Crest? Do you welcome this? Do you welcome basically the new aspect of what we're going to see? The reason why I think I welcome it so much is that I like that we're seeing a much more aggressive, faster Din Djarin. It's not like a slow pace. It's not him basically just living in a future RV. You know what I mean? Like, it's just him, at fast pace with a vehicle, like this. What did you think, man?
Both. I missed the Razor Crest, but I like this. I mean, he clearly traded the camper for the Ducati, but it's purposeful, right? Like we have a reason that he's about to need a Ducati. Like we have a reason. Like Batman has a Bat Pod, not just a Bat Wing and a Batmobile, right? He has different right tool, right job. So I feel like this is a right to right job scene, setting up a air assault where we might see Slave One and the Naboo Starfighter in the air or an aerial attack at some point, where he would need to be faster and avoid the cumbersomeness that Razor Crest might be in the way. But this scene had so much. I love the part gathering. I love the Easter egg of the. I looked it up because I knew this part. But it was a cryogenic density combustion buster. That pipe was what they used.
They used to kind of wedge between A New Hope,
and A New Hope. And I felt like that was such a cool little nod. I mean, this whole show was full of Easter eggs, and I was like, one. I love the little the Jawa dating thing was like, it was short and sweet and over with, but it was funny. I love the test run where we got to see how fast he'll be. And I definitely dug that. Like the New Republic, in a way, man, they're almost worse than the Empire. Like they're out there like trying to meet quotas, making sure everybody gets ticketed. Like, yo, Empire was like, I never seen.
It must have been like election season, bro.
They was out there. It was like Memorial Day weekend. They was out there getting everybody on
everybody straight up.
They was after everybody. I want to back up real quick because I know we're way past this, but I also loved the visuals of Ringworld. That was phenomenal.
Yes.
That was so incredible. Like they had its own little atmosphere to explain why people wouldn't just be falling off, and everything on that planet felt like Star Wars. It felt like Coruscant. It felt like Star Wars. It felt real. It made sense, and it felt like a lot of the planets that we visited along the way on Clone Wars. Like those planets were futuristic, but yet they still felt like pain and grainy, and like there was a struggle and like hardships, right? And I mentioned that to mention this. For some reason, like when we got to Tatooine on this show, is it just me, or did it feel once again Tatooine had like a grain filter filmed for the show that we haven't really seen much of on previous episodes, where like different places that have gone in the show so far has seemed bright and lively and not very Tatooine like at all.
It's not like it. No, it's not like the dark tones we got from.
Yeah,
Tatooine
like what's the bar that we've seen oftentimes throughout the show with
Sanctuary.
The Sanctuary, right? It's so bright and lively for Tatooine. You expect virtually everywhere in Tatooine is grimy, and Tatooine felt grimy again in this episode. Ringwell felt like Coruscant. It was amazing. It was awesome.
But it's like now it's sort of like remembering though that section or that side of it was Mos Espa compared to Mos Eisley.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? So it's a totally different. We never really got a chance in New Hope to see Mos Espa.
Right.
Like we've never seen it, so it could have been that way the entire time. But we were so focused on Mos Eisley. You know what I mean?
So part of town. Okay. I definitely like it. Of course, like everybody else noticed that astromech pod was left open for Grogu to to joyride with him in it. That's clearly what they're going to be setting up for the future. I haven't written off Razor Crest coming back in the future though. I just think that there's it's a plot device, something he needs this ship for this story that they're telling now. I don't feel like his bounty hunter days are done. I feel like he'll get the Razor Crest back in the future. I feel like they have even if you look at it from a business point, like Arius mentioned a lot tonight, as far as decisions that they make having ramifications outside of storytelling, they're not going to give up on the Razor's Crest because that has functionality as far as merchandise and how he does his job. I don't think we're done seeing Carbonite and cargo holds and the Razor's Crest. I just think that it'll be a minute before he gets that back. Meanwhile, this is functionable to what he's on a mission for now, and for all we know, like he'll get used to might use the modifications he made on this ship to make the Razor Crest better, for all we know. And it might be if he needs a job where he needs to be in and out, he uses this ship. He needs a job where he has to collect people to get off a planet, he uses the Razor Crest. This could just add to his arsenal.
It beats taking the bus.
Definitely beats taking the bus.
And gets him where he needs to be much faster. He can outrun a whole bunch. Finally, though, we get to chance to act. So they tied it together. I guess they actually used this to tie it together, where we actually get a chance to see Fennec Shan finally reveal herself once he arrives and let him know that, look, she has a job. I like basically the exchange between the both of them. And actually when he said, and when she told him that, no, it's not a bounty, it's just like muscle. And when he was like, yo, but Boba, and she was like, yeah, he said it's on the house. Because it was basically a fate, like it was paying back what, paying homage to what Boba did from him. He, helped him get the
Boba
child back.
Above and beyond.
Yeah, he did. And he helped him get that child back. And so this is the thing, though, and this is what kind of made me understand who Boba is right now. This is kind of what because just understand that the Boba that we actually saw in The Mandalorian was still sort of like this. He was still that passive type of individual who was willing to help more, willing to do what he can do for the better good. You know what I mean? At that particular point, and which was to help Grogu. So, it's not like this is the first time we're seeing this version of Boba. We saw him whoop some ass, but at the same time, he was still that passive individual. Like it was, whatever.
Exactly.
So
both.
Exactly. So I'm hoping like him or her going back telling, Boba, okay, Mando's on board. That he's like, all right, let me put my arm on. Let's get ready.
Chilling.
Like, let's go. Like, let's go. Like now, let's go. Let's like, okay, I got my boy back. He's gonna help me. Let's go. And I like that. I like that. The thing is, it's like I would sort of have liked to see them tie this together a little bit earlier on and not wait until the end. To make it a bit more cohesive to what the show is about and where it's actually going. I'm glad that they brought, because had they not brought her in or even said anything about Boba, I'd have been like, what the hell was this for? Like, what was it for? It was great, but where are we sliding this in? CC, and mind you, I want to bring you in because people want to look at your poster in the background while you talk. So did I, but
I'll just get out of the way. It's fine.
Yeah. Hey, she should have been on the Flex show last night. She'd have been flexing and she would have won. But yeah, what did you do?
She's got the Darksaber, man. Look at it.
She got the Darksaber. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
She's got the Darksaber right there. Look at it.
Flexing. Flexing. Look at that. Flexing all day. But yeah, what did you think about it though?
I mean, it made perfect. I agree with. It's a shame because it was such a great episode, but seeing Fennec reminded you of like, oh shit, this wasn't a Mandalorian episode. This was a Book of Boba Fett episode. So you kind of did have to bookend it. I do want to say this little anecdote though, because I'm pretty sure my mom is watching. I appreciate that he got rid of the RV to get a Ducati because my parents did the exact opposite. So both of them had 69 Corvette Stingrays, and I was born. And they already had one child, my older sister. So instead of just strapping the car seat on the roof, I think they got like a Buick instead. So I'm not bitter about it. It's only been, I'm 30 years old. I'm not bitter about it still. It's okay. But so I love that he finally has a Ducati. And he's gonna figure it out. He has the wherewithal. He's gonna just strap Grogu in the bag, and it's gonna be all good. Yep. And Grogu's not gonna resent him in 30 years. When that Starfighter is still bitching, you know what I mean? So, anyway, but yeah, it was I loved seeing like I was having like heart palpitations. But
oh man,
and I mean, it made sense that the second Fennec is trying to pay Mando's like, no, but it's a shame because I think it was almost like this whole episode, seeing Fennec reminded me this whole episode it was almost like a backdoor pilot to season 3. It made me excited for season 3, but I do hope like what everyone's saying is that seeing Mando again is going to remind Boba Fett being around a fellow warrior, a fellow Mandalorian where weapons are their religion, that he's going to kind of take the kit gloves off, and we're finally going to see the Boba Fett we've been owed now this entire season. So it just made me hopeful for the future.
I
almost feel like maybe there was only supposed to be 6 episodes and they just were like, you know what, let's make this a whole episode.
Right. Could have been. Aries, what say you about this, man, about the tie-in in the end?
I agree totally with CC. And for me, what it actually further reminded me of, because one of the greatest joys for me about The Mandalorian Season 2, especially the last few episodes, was to see Boba Fett with Din Djarin and Fennec and, Bo-Katan and the whole to see them in the Slave One and to be working together. I felt like I was watching the A-Team.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so damn fracking cool to see Boba Fett working with the Mandalorian. And look, the Mandalorian was still like the head. He told like Boba Fett's like, okay, I could go. Where do you want me to go? I'm kind of doing this for you. And I'm sitting there saying, boy, can they continue with this?
Yeah.
Could they just continue with this? So you have to wonder, is it possible that maybe the whole thing in the end, and maybe they realized, Favreau and Filoni, that they had a great, formula with that maybe this book of Boba Fett's just going to tie back into where they're just going to bring them all back into season 3, because I would just love it if Boba Fett and Fennec just get involved and stay. You know, I don't know. I kind of like them all together. I don't know what anybody here thinks, but I just loved what happened.
Chemistry.
I love the chemistry with all of them. Like even in the Bill Burr episode, yeah.
That's
Boba
who I
Fett
want to come back. That's who I want to see.
Yeah, but I mean, they were all kind of working together. I don't know. And then Boba Fett takes off. I got something to handle. Kills Bib Fortuna, takes over the thing. And I was just like, man, it'd be great if they. I don't know. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
So I was just like, man, are we going to get this in the next episodes? And are we going to get it in you know, you have to wonder, is Book of Boba Fett a one-off? And he's going to come back into just, you know, in the Mandalorian. I don't know, but it made me think about that chemistry. I loved it.
Definitely. What did you feel about, you know, basically seeing, you know, your twin, you know, fall into place and have this conversation, you know, to kind of bridge the show and to bring it back into focus as to what the objective is in the end?
Well, obviously, I got so excited that I put on my cosplay. Like, it's not even fitting me right. Like, I haven't had it tailored or anything, but I was like, screw this. I'm putting it on and I'm going to wear it. I'm just going to enjoy this moment. You know, I'm just going to have fun with this. And you know, she's smiling because she knows now that she has Din in her corner that they're going to be successful at whatever they're going to do. I mean, this is something that I also think is very important to their success, is knowing that they can do whatever it is, despite that they're going to come up against. And, you know, that's like probably half the battle right there. Even if they are the underdogs, even if the Pikes outnumber them, they have this confidence that they're going to make it. So, I mean, none of us want to see them fail in this undertaking. So there's a lot at stake here. And, you know, however this goes down, we certainly don't want to see a situation where they failed and they have to go somewhere. Like, we don't want that. So, you know, I think that Fennec kind of smiling there, and, you know, she's happy here. She's very happy with how things are going to work out. Din is agreed to help them. She knows they're going to succeed. I think that what's kind of interesting about this is that relationship that you mentioned between, you know, Din and Boba. And earlier I had said that what would have been interesting is if there was some sort of conflict that happened where Boba now had to fight Din. And, you know, I kind of still want that. I know that's mean, right? But
it's
cool.
Yeah, I think it would be cool. And, you know, it could let it be on something that is a deep-rooted issue. You know, something we don't know about Din, but then Boba, you know, kind of finds out something. And you know, you had mentioned Ares that he might snap if he finds out something about Mace Windu. There's a bunch of scenarios we can think of. But since we know that Din is going to be right in front of Boba's face, you know, it would be so nice if even though they work together, that there could be this conflict there. I do like the Bo-Katan conflict situation, but I'm not quite sure whether I feel the same energy from it. You know, I think that Boba could come down hard on this if the issue was as severe enough. And I also think maybe Bo-Katan, you know, she kind of looked at Din. She wasn't that impressed with him. You know, she had his back a few times to help save him because she needed something from him and asked him to join her. But now that she knows he's not going to join her, and maybe she feels a bit defeated, you know, I kind of feel like she got the wind knocked out of her sails a little bit. And then, you know, for the armor kind of warning Din away from Bo-Katan, I wonder whether they're even going to see each other again. You know, I guess they will, but it doesn't feel like there's going to be a connection in this particular series. We do know he's going to see Boba. We really need a clash here, and I know that's mean.
Hey, you know what? We didn't get that release of, you know, of Cosca Reeves and Axe Wolves, and we didn't get that release for nothing. Your Hot Toys is very strategic about how they do certain things, so it might be a possibility we could even see them back in this, you know, to kind of help. We might see all of them back to kind of help out with an agenda. You know what I mean? Because I know she still has a close eye on Mando. Like we may not have seen it, but I think there is, you know, something there.
Hey, Leo, real quick, if I could, because our own, you bring up a great point. And is it possible that, you know, when you talk about a conflict, and I think we talked about earlier in the show how Boba could just, you know, blow up. and explode with some type of anger. You don't know with this whole Order 66 and what Luke might be investigating. I don't know. I have a theory that possibly, Mace Windu, before Anakin was able to execute the order from the Emperor, maybe got Grogu out of the Jedi Temple because he sensed, I always said that I felt like Mace never really believed in Anakin. Maybe he believed in Grogu, and he got him out of there. And maybe there's like some kind of connection where they bring Mace in, and Luke knows about Mace, and Mace is actually close with Grogu. I don't know where he's been looking for Grogu. Boba would want to get Mace, but Din Djarin's not going to want, if he winds up being Grogu's friend or a guardian from the past, is not going to want him to mess with him. Yeah. That can be a clash right there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It could be a little far fetched, but I mean, they have to explain how Grogu got out.
Nothing in the realm of this is far fetched. Like, seriously, nothing in the realm of Star Wars at the time, and us not knowing, because we would have thought like this. The season that we've gotten so far was far fetched for me. Like, straight up, I didn't think it was going to happen, and it did. But I don't know, Vinny. What did you think about this? Do you think that this was a nice little bow that kind of closed up, or just not nice little bow, but like a nice little, that tied this episode back into the agenda? Do you think that her appearance in the end was a nice way to do it?
CC nailed it. It was like, oh yeah, we're watching a Book of Boba Fett episode. That's right. Yeah, it definitely. I'm glad that it happened and didn't wait for the next episode for him to meet her and to bookend the episode. But like CC said, it was like, oh yeah, this is what we're trying to advance the story for. This is supposed to be his show. So I feel like it definitely was necessary and needed. I like how happy she seemed to be to see him. It almost felt like she sees someone that has the same kind of mindset as her. Like, okay, I got somebody else who I know is gonna go in and not hesitate about chopping somebody's heads off where it might. So if you're going into war and the person leading you is sometimes he wants to kill, sometimes he wants to take prisoners, and you don't know which one he's gonna be. Because Boba Fett's bloodlust is only kind of like if somebody does something personal to him at this moment. And if you're going into war, it's kind of like, well, all right, are we going in here to take names or not? And I think with Mando, she knows where he stands. She knows what she's getting with Mando. Yeah. So I feel like she's really happy to be able to, have that ace in the hole, more so than Chrysanthemum, because how would you trust him? And I feel like, the guards are only going to be so helpful. I mean, you're going into a war with the Pikes who you have no idea what kind of muscle they're going to be able to bring in. They're in the midst of taking over a planet, and they have drug money, which means unlimited pockets. He's one crime lord on one section of one part of the planet. But with Mando, those odds are definitely a lot more even. So it was great seeing her, and so it sets up what they've been teasing, which is a big skirmish, and we can't wait for that. And it's a little unfortunate that the setup to the big payoff wasn't as exciting as I'm sure the payoff will be, but it at least is like reinforcing, hey, we got these next couple of episodes coming up that should be like wall to wall, like action and craziness, and then you guys will have another season of Mandalorian, which is going to be what we can usually expect from Mandalorian. So I felt like this was kind of like a bone thrown to the Star Wars fans. I really feel like it's possible that they knew how polarizing their first 4 or 5 episodes might have been without doing this. And I feel like it's very possible that Filoni said, why don't we make this 7 episodes instead of 6? Make this episode 5 that's going to introduce Mando. Why don't we flesh that out and make it longer? Tease Mando 3 and set up a bigger meaning to, them joining, Mando joining the gang for this big fight here, and give somebody like a earlier helping of, Mando that we would have got. And I think the tougher question now is the only thing that bothers me or doesn't quite add up is if he goes to see Grogu and Luke before helping Mando. That doesn't quite add up. It wouldn't make sense that he would go and interrupt their training and have a reason for to do that before going to this fight. It's like, why is that important to go do now? If any, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see.
And someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Was it Mando who shot Fennec and is the reason why her midsection is all sponsored by Ace Hardware?
Yeah.
Or was it the other?
No, it was the other guy that shot.
The other guy. Okay.
Fennec.
Yeah,
But I figured
guy.
she's got a constant reminder that Mando knows how to handle himself.
Exactly.
Whether he was the one who got that shot in or not.
She shot at him a few times.
Because he wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for
desert,
Mando.
so.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Mario, to close out, what did you think about this tie-in in the end? Did you see, do you think that it kind of made sense to do it this particular way to kind of weave us back into that perspective that or that put us back on track? This was basically an on-track device that they wanted to say, okay, now that was fun, but we got to get back to what this is supposed to be, which was, what the agenda was. Do you think this was nicely done?
No, I definitely think so. This is, I'm glad that they did end it this way because it's like what everyone said. We still have to remember the fact that this is actually the Book of Boba.
Yeah.
Am I lagging?
No, you're
Sorry,
good.
hang
You're
on.
good. You're good.
All right. Yeah, my internet connection is acting wonky right now. But yeah, the fact that this is actually the Book of Boba and not, the next season of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm like completely frozen. I'm tripping out.
We're hearing you. Just thought we're hearing
we
you.
see you.
Okay, y'all hear me all right?
Yeah.
All right.
You're fine on our end.
All right, cool. Shit. I'm sorry, guys. Something just came up, and I'm just kind of tripping out. But no, I think it ended the way that it actually needs to end. To just remind us that this is the Book of Boba, and we've only got so much time for the next 2 episodes, so they've got to get things in gear.
Yeah, they do.
Some of the stuff that Aries also talked about, as far as some of the bounty hunters that he wanted to see, I could totally see that happening, but actually on the opposing side with the Pikes, and hopefully Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
So I'm just picturing it's just something big just happening.
Well, the Crimson
Right.
Dawn is mostly they're closely connected to the Pikes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Seriously.
and I think we've been seeing like subtle hints here and there.
Yeah.
As far as like their logo kind of spread around in some areas. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Kira actually shows up. With Crimson Dawn.
That'd be, but yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to what they're going to be doing for this next couple episodes. Considering I'm hoping the penultimate would kind of get the Game of Thrones treatment, in which it's extended and it would just be complete chaos.
Yeah,
and then just wrap it up, in the final episode. So we'll see what happens, man.
Definitely. We got a $2.99, or actually a $2 super chat by Bob from Bob Dylan. I want my 1/6 Carson Teller. You already know. It could come. You never know. You never know.
It's tough because they did that formula at Mando where he was meeting people throughout the show, and then they brought it all together at the end. But Boba hasn't really met very many people in the course of the show, and the people he already has brought in are already there. And all the other names that we are hoping for, like the Cad Banes and whatnot, and all the other names that are like wish lists, they would be out of the blue. Like they would have had to set that up. They have so much to do if they're going to do stuff like that with so little time.
Yeah, definitely.
I almost wanted that pirate guy to show up because this has been such a topsy-turvy
You mean
ride.
Rondu?
Yeah, because
Hondo.
Things seem up and then down, and then he just goes with it. And I could see him saying something like, "You can't even get control of the underworld, and you're the boss." It could be like kind of a crazy, funny thing, and then things could end up on in Boba's favor, like Riddick. Everything falls on his lap by accident.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a $2.99 super chat by Braden. Phenomenal episode, phenomenal panel. Thank you so much. And from Australia. Come on, you know what time it is. Good day, mate. How you going, mate? How you going, mate? Straight up, man. Straight up. But nah, listen, man, it was a great episode tonight. I mean, we got a lot to unpack. Hopefully next week, yeah. I'll just keep my mouth shut. I'll just keep my mouth shut because I'm telling you something's coming. Something's coming. Something is coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. And I'm telling you, people are going to be satisfied when they see it. And I can honestly say, I know. I know, but I'm telling you, it's going to be hype. But yeah, I think it is. I think basically, like I said, this did set a space for progression, and I think that they know that now. I don't think that they can't let the ball drop. And then the thing is, you got to also keep in mind that I think the next episode, I believe the next episode is directed by Dave Filoni. Mm-hmm. So it's his Filoni show. This is his Filoni's episode. So I think he's gonna give us something. He's gonna give us something, that we've been waiting on. But again, I mean, who knows how it's going to actually go down, but I'm excited. I mean, this episode, this like yesterday's episode got me so excited to see where we're going to go next. But guys, it's been a great night. It's been a great episode. CC, I'm so glad you're back. Oh my God, I'm so glad you're back. Ari, so glad that you joined us tonight, brother. Like seriously, I've been itching to get you on this show, so I'm so happy you came on tonight, man.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Definitely. Come on, man. You know what time it is. You know what it is. Vinny, Mario, the smooth cat. But CC, real quick before because we'll go around. CC, what you got coming up next?
So, on the channel, you can see my face mostly on is Rogue 16. It's Thursday. Tomorrow we're doing group therapy where we discuss all the expensive stuff we buy. And then I think we have a few things in the works for next week as far as seeing people's Star Wars collections. We did one the other night that was we managed to talk about prints because the guy collects a lot of prints, even if he doesn't have the space like me to display all of them. And then we are still doing the Shelter in Space where we watch the show live as soon as it comes on. So I will be up at 1:00 in the morning my time. With at least Matt, probably Jason, hopefully. He hasn't been feeling well. So you'll get to see us react live to the show and then, of course, talk about it afterwards. Just because we don't want a lot of spoilers in our Facebook group for those folks who don't want to get up that early to watch it live. But that's been a lot of fun because we get a lot of UK viewers, a lot of Aussies that end up seeing it just because the weird hours. So feel free to check us out on early Wednesday morning for that if you want to see it.
And that's row 16, right?
Yes.
Because I'm trying to basically I'm like, yo, why don't I have a banner in here? I've been looking at it just now and I thought I did. And I'm not.
I could drop it in the chat.
Yeah, please do. Give me 1 second here because I'm trying to find this now. Let me see here. Sorry guys, I'm not.
And while you're doing that real quick, I do want to say, yes, it is on YouTube. Mario was my savior. So Mario and his cohorts with Collecting Weekly. So Matt uses these fancy, yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Matt uses these fancy headphones compared to my MacGyvered setup, and they died. So everyone could hear what I was saying, but Matt couldn't hear me, and obviously he's my co-host, so for a few seconds, I was the only one on screen. So Zach, Mario,
Zach, Dean, and myself,
Dean all chimed in and were like, yo, we got you. We're going to hop on so that you're not just talking to a computer screen and looking at the chat. So I really appreciate you guys for that.
Oh,
anytime.
definitely.
We're always here for you, CC and Matt.
Always here. Come on, man. CC3PO Rogue 16 on YouTube and IG. They got an IG page too, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Jason's the one who runs all that. He's the art lover just like me. So he does a great job with the Instagram.
Definitely. Come on, man. You know what time it is. CC3BO. We got her back here tonight. It's been an eventful occasion, so glad. My man Aries, man, what you got coming up, bro?
Oh, is it possible that I am subscribed to Rogue One 6th? And
I say
yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Heck yeah,
absolutely. Look, what do I got going on? Probably an impromptu stream with you if they come out with Ahsoka. Come on, baby.
Yes, you already know.
Look, there is going to be some crazy stuff going on. Market Show Live Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern, same time, same station. You don't want to miss the Market Show Live this coming Saturday. I'm sure there'll be more things to talk about by then, so make sure you tune into that. Monday,
yes,
live and raw after Anthony's show, 6 Scale Mafia. So I'll be on at 8 o'clock for live and raw, and then on Wednesday will be the Aries Tarrington show, so you don't want to miss that. I'll have a special guest on there, so it's kind of like what I got going on there. I got the Market Show Live on Saturdays, live and raw on Mondays, before your show that you have your comic show,
book talk,
comic book talk, and then Wednesday the Aries Tarrington show. So
yes,
thank you for having me, man. This was great. I really enjoyed it, and it's so great to.
And we love having you, man. If you haven't already, follow the
Real
6 Scale
quick,
Cantina. Yep.
I'm sorry, Aries, just be careful with Rogue One 6, because if you get caught up with those guys, you're going to end up on group therapy on their Friday nights, and you're going to see an entire shift in your collection, bro. I'm telling you, man, these guys, what they collect is insane.
I love watching their shows. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. See, no.
It's just, it's fun, but it's just not for your wallet or your credit score. I just those two are going to suffer.
Yo.
Well, everybody knows me. Look, I have very good parameters, but I'm not that good.
If you haven't already, come on, man. 6 Scale Cantina on YouTube and IG, Facebook. You know where it's at. You know where you want to be. So, as always, subscribe. El Professoro, my guy. Mario, what's going on with you and over there collecting weekly in IG, bro?
Tonight we just had an episode where the fellas they sent out some of their, I think, like 13 comics from CGC, and they just did an unboxing tonight, so that was pretty cool. Were there a couple 9.8s in there? Possibly. Nice. So that was that's cool to check out if y'all want to go check out the replay. Tonight we've got Polls Wars coming up, 8 o'clock Pacific time. So who's going to be there? I think KG the Collector is going to be there. Big Fern's going to be there again. Dean the Dream Martin's going to be there again. Yep, everybody going to be over there cheating up, and it promises to be a good time, man. I mean, considering the last episode, y'all come check us out over there on Collecting Weekly.
Oh man, come on, y'all cheat.
Where Lael killed it. Everyone did a fantastic job. That was what was so difficult. It's like,
I know. It's fun. It was so fun, but everybody armpits were sweating. Everybody was wiping off foreheads. Everybody was getting bangs thrown at them. I was like, man, come on. But it was fun. It was definitely fun. So if you haven't already, you know what time it is. My guy, my co-host, Mario, you know what it is. Collecting Weekly. Let's get it going. Vinny. What's going on with you, brother? What you got? What you got circulating? What you got coming up over there on Vincent Dunn Art, bro?
I'm working on a few more Star Wars pieces. I have a very special piece I'm working on that I'll have ready by the next show, and I'm looking forward to at least getting at least one more after that, maybe two. And so I'm got the arms sleeves rolled up, working on those pieces. You guys can catch any of those pieces, and prints will always be available at Vincent Dunn Art. Has a link to the store where you can go and check out any of those prints and pick some up. Fill your walls on up, and you can also see me on Leo's Comic Book Talk with Friends show on Monday. So there's so with there I'll be talking all kinds of comic book talk, and in between then I'll be reading my ass off, enjoying this little bit of R&R time I got to catch up on some of my reading. So reading, drawing, and looking forward to the next episode of Boba Fett.
You know what time it is. if you haven't already, you want some great pieces, you got to go over there to Vinny's channel, his page. Vincent Dunn Art. He also has a link to his store where you can get all the amazing pieces. Come on, man. Let's go.
I love the vision print you did.
Thank you so much.
And I'm like, obviously, I'm a huge Star Wars person, but that was gorgeous.
Thank you. That one was fun. That was a lot of hours. The original piece is like 18 by 24, so that piece was huge. It was that was a lot of labor in that one, and I thought it'd be easy because it was just a headshot. Because usually I do like complicated, big, like dynamic scenes and stuff like that, but that was like, oh, let me do a headshot. I have like Vision's face is so headshot perfect, and that one just like it was fun though. I love how it turned out, so I get a lot of good feedback on that one. So thank you.
Definitely.
The print isn't 18 by 24, is it?
No, I
don't have space for that, but I can have space for the print.
11 by 14. Yeah, anything. Awesome. I'll hook you up for sure. But what I usually do is sometimes I'll do 18 by 24, so that way when I do the prints at 11 by 14, it makes it pop more because it condenses.
Right.
Because when I work small and blow them up to 11 by 14, sometimes
it takes the detail.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a little bit of the detail out, but when I work big and small, it just condenses all that detail, makes it pop even more. So majority of the time, sometimes I work 1-1 and just draw on 11 by 14, but sometimes, like I'd say like almost half of my pieces are huge pieces that I just shrink down.
Nice.
Yeah,
definitely. What you got going over there? A Burnett Work, Midnight Metal, PJ All Stars, and also Positive Geekdom. What's going on?
So of course I have my channel Positive Fandom on YouTube.
Positive Fandom. That's what it was.
And I'm also streaming on Twitch. Positive Fandom is one word. On Fridays at 12 in the afternoon Eastern, I'm streaming with Midnight's Edge with Tom and Andre. And of course, Friday nights with you, Lael, on the Burnett Work.
Yes.
On Sunday, I'm going to be doing my Sunday brunch live at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's just sort of like a free talk show where we just talk about what's going on. On Monday nights, I'll be on Toxic Femmes with Lorena Creole. And of course, every Thursday, you can find me on this fine channel on the 1/6 Scale Man Network.
Yes, definitely. Thanks everybody for coming through. As always, it's a great show. If you haven't already subscribed to the 1/6 Scale Man YouTube channel on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, please do that. Great content. As always, you already know this Sunday we have another episode of Take Your Position. We will be making the figures and creating comic book pages. So that should be comic book covers. So that should be fun. I can't wait for that. Also, again, comic book talk with friends on Monday, on Wednesdays. Basically, you'll actually see us here for the not here, but the channel for Say What, where we talk about 1/6 scale figures, new releases, you name it, we got it here. And on Thursday, Uncivilized Scoundrels with me, my co-host Mario, and the rest of the bunch. We will be dissecting, please, episode 6 of Boba Fett. Let's just hope it's going to be dope, but I think it will be. I think it won't let us down. But yes, tune in, and like I said, we're going to have some great things going on. But I'm definitely tuned in and zoned in for it. So yes, thanks everybody for basically stopping through and being a part of this. Yes, let me go ahead and address the chat real quick. We have Sinister SMR, Joey Dahl, Braden, single songwriter, Filthy Fool, One Punch Man, One Pouch Man, Braden, the casual nerd problems here, Tobar, Loco Lou, Ron Unsing, Charlie the Unicorn. We have, Ashley Chase, Braden, Ashley Chase came through. I think she came through with the $2.99 super chat as well. Thank you for that. Awesome seeing everyone again. Awesome panel. Thank you so much for that. We do appreciate that. We had a Russian bot, so we always thank them for coming through because they just make it entertaining. As always, let's see here. Who else we got in here? Casual Nerd Problems. We got, is that Canis Rufus Lupus? I love that name. These names kill me, man. They kill me. We got Zion King Abella. Thank you for being here. Hope I said that right. Hope I didn't butcher it. Bob Dylan always in the building. We have my baby Latoya T. Also my daughter Skylar Bias Moore was in the building. I love you, baby. Thank you for coming through and supporting your old man. We have Frogman in the building. Let's see here. Chess Verdon. Let's see here. A few more names we got here. OG fan with Star Wars was just Star Wars. Thank you for coming through, man. As always. Max Geekdom as always. Let's see here. Thislamic, thank you for being here. As always. And then who else we have? Party Animal, thank you for coming through. Cold Pizza, you made me hungry just now. It's too late for me to eat, but I'm hungry. But yeah, if I haven't mentioned your name, look, I won't forget next time. Thank you for basically being here, Philip the Fool, everyone. That's a Bragg, thank you for being here. Jason Kugler, Cobra's Collection, everyone, man. Thank you for being here. We do appreciate y'all. You make this show what it is. You make it entertaining. And we just love you guys for basically being here. Tune in next week. Again, we will be dissecting episode 6. Hopefully we get something interesting. I know we will, but hopefully it's cohesive and we can actually celebrate it and get through it and have a lovely conversation. But from all of us to all of you, you know what time it is. Stay uncivilized and always be a scoundrel. Ain't that what it is, Mario? Uncivilized scoundrels. That's how it goes. That's how we are. That's how we roll.
This is the way.
That is. We'll see you next week. Peace out.
So uncivilized.